baadaye tunakuletea mahojiano ya moja kwa moja kwenye one-on-one show.
Kwanza nianze kwa mtazamo kwamba umeona vile hali ilivyo,
the age that we are living in, so many things are happening.
Alafu nakuletea taarifa zinavyochipuka siku hiyo zikiwa ange kwenye In the News Headlines. Kisha tunaingia bungeni kutazama wabunge na kusikiliza tuliowaleta kupeleka bungeni iwapo iko imara.
Mr. Speaker,
they should not be given an opportunity to be in those committees.
Who told the people to close the business?
Kisha baadaye usiku kuinaangana kwenye udadavusi kamili, Open Forum Political Show.
Open Forum Political Discussion Show.
Fanya akitujue tumepata the right person.
In churches, in funerals, come up and say, oh, it's our turn.
Sasa sound candy check imekamilika.
Afadhali mzee ambaye ni mtulivu, ambaye hana haja ya kujaza mifuko yake, ambaye atachunga masilahi ya watu yake, badala ya mdomo tamtamu 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 tamtamu. Lakini akiingia ni wale wa kufanya moja yako, nusu ya mwananchi, mbili yako na tano yangu. Na mnawajua nyinyi mna.
Kutafuta uongozi kwa kutumia dini au kutumia kabila unagawa watu. Kazi ya uongozi ni kujenga watu wawe kitu kimoja.
The 2.2 billion has been spent in the office of the president and State House between July and September. If you do that calculation, it means that we spend in that office 23 million per day and 1 million per hour. That cannot be sustainable.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back online. Asanteni sana kila mtu ambaye amekuwa hapa. Thank you. This is called Sound Candy Talk. We're back. We had to move on to another link. There's unfinished business here, and people were having that conversation. Zemba, I want to believe that you are the one that actually was talking, and because you guys were having very good conversation, this is called Sound Candy Talk. My name is Kenyan with Love, Nakwanga huku nyuma, and you know what? We have Zemba here, and we have Mugambi, and we also have Roba. So I want to welcome everybody else that are coming in. I can see you guys joining in real quick. And you know what? The link is actually there. Let's have a conversation. This is the weekend conversation, which, I mean, you don't really have to follow the topic of the day. We can just have a conversation. As I work on things out here, Zemba, I know you are the one talking, and Zemba, please help me because kuna vitu hapa naona sikuweka vizuri. Help me, and you've not forgotten your job, but I'm here with you. But thank you guys.
I was actually done, so I think Roba and Mugambi, anybody can go first, so that we listen up to what you guys have to say.
Okay, and then, but I'm not gone just before you, because you don't see me on the screen. I'm just fixing some things on the back side, but just take over, please, for me. Nakila mtu.
Okay. I mean, whoever can go first.
I go?
Mugambi, you got it. Yeah, go ahead, Mugambi.
Okay. Yeah, thank you once again because of having me in this discussion. I think it's a good place to be. Themba, I had your question about the formation, but this is what I meant. And I said there are two ways of changing whatever we are, to have change in this country. And in my opinion, I think there are two. We have two options, but we can only take one. The option that has happened in the Sahel, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, I think that option is not open to us, because as I said when I was starting in my opening remarks, our military is compromised. If that military wanted to help us, the best time to help this country was 2007, when there was a clear winner of an election, and they stayed silent until people died for a whole month. I think that was the best time for the military to kick in and install the person who had won, if this military of ours means good for us. So I think that option we can't take it, because of, in my opinion, I think that the military is compromised. The second option is that we need a civilian-led revolution, even in terms of changing the people at the top. What I mean by this, we cannot look at our system right now is binary. We only have two formations that we can really call formations, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. I don't think there is any change that can come from the current two formations, both of them. I don't think anyone can change anything from inside. Those formations belong to they have their owners, and they have some people who are, there's hierarchy. So someone like me or you, Themba, I can see you're a young guy like me. I don't think you can go there and try to tell them you need change. They will not listen. Those are their homes. So I think, like giving an example, I was saying an example of what I've seen happening in South Africa. There are some people who felt aggrieved by the ANC, and instead of staying to fight or making it so messy, they decided to get out of the ANC and create their own party with their own structures to start something afresh. In Kenya, there is the fear of being alone, because people also are cowards. No one wants. Everyone wants to stay karibu na joto, the warmth of Kenya Kwanza, the warmth of ODM, Azimio. Nobody wants to start some. I think there is potential. People want something fresh. All that is required is that who to start. That's what I meant, that the current existing formations will not. Let me give you an example. Some years back, this now is from my own personal experience. Some years back, I resigned from a job which I found to be toxic. I was a relationship manager working under a business manager, also under a director. So I was the business director. The business manager also happens to have the title called assistant director. But I was qualified to be the assistant director. I was not qualified to be the director. But the lady working as the assistant director did not even have my qualification. And she was 11 years older than me. That time I was 35 years. Then I thought to myself, this woman is not going to leave this job because, first of all, she does not have papers, and she's politically safe to stay in that job until she retires at 60 years. So I asked myself, am I ready to stay for 16 years here? And that was during the time of COVID. And so that's what I'm saying. That was what made me leave that job and go and start my own business, because the alternative was to stay there for 16 years, or to hope that one day she will leave or something will happen. It was a good job, actually, one of the best employers in Kenya at the time. So that's what I'm saying. These guys who think that they hear what Babu Owino is fighting in Azimio and the way he's being fought, being told. I was somewhere and some people were telling him, mavi yako ijafika Ruai. I mean, you're still in the drainage. You need to stay here long enough, ndio.
I'll drink some coffee.
So if someone like, no, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that I support him or something. I'm just saying if someone like Babu really wants to, really believes in what he wants, think this is the better time to leave. There was another guy called Abapuna Mwamba, you remember, with Men in Black, when he wanted to get a big seat. He was opposed and he didn't know who was opposing him. He just found that he came and he found that the world had changed. Yeah? But that was the time for him to begin his own formation. But he did not get he left that formation. But because of cowardice, what I'm saying about us people here, he went to the other formation, Mali Kuna Joto. He was afraid kuanza to stay in the cold, develop strength. You see what I mean? So what I mean is that if there's someone who thinks that they can really change this country, you cannot change it from these two big formations. We have to get something different, something fresh, and create your own path. Because these bosses, our dosi, they will not give. You will not be the flag bearer of ODM in the next 10 years, or Kenya Kwanza in the next even 10 years. You cannot even if we did a nomination today for the presidential candidate for Kenya Kwanza under UDA and you win, there's no way you're going to carry that flag. So that's what I mean by saying that we need a separate formation, something fresh, because the existing formations are not going to take us anywhere, and they have their own plans. As they say, chama iko na wenyewe. Yes. So I think I've answered your question. I think that was the only question you asked me.
Thank you for that comment. You've raised other notable areas that probably you'll just hold on there. We are going to explore them after we hear from the other. Makiadi, how are you?
Makiadi,
how are you?
Salama sana, unanisikia?
Nakusikia sasa.
Oh, safi. Nimewaona hapa nikasema wacha niingie.
Yeah. You're on the right place, bro.
It's been a while. Nimewaona nikasema this is the old team yenye tulianzia mbali. We began in the trenches. Martin Shikuku akikutana na akiona Rubia mahali huko mbinguni, lazima
wakae chini wapige story.
Lazima wakae chini wakunywe kikombe ya chai. Wakikumbushana vile walisumbuana na Moi.
It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you guys. Roba, Ndemba, and I think we've never met, Koome. Mzuri nimekupata hapa. Hawa ni my old boys. Walichapa hii siasa tangu 20 sijui what.
Kabla
shindwa. Tunapea nguo na kila kitu ya celebration.
Tulikuwa hapa tumepima masuti bwana. Tumeweka masuti kutoka 2022 za blue na tai. Sisi ni waadhiriwa.
Yani weka ile muziki ya papa yule mkonga alimuimba na yule Mtanzania. Papa. Yani
Makiani ni kuku nyuma, lakini ilikuwa lazima nikuje kwanza nicheke hiyo story, lakini kuku nyuma
nimekuona Mato, good to see you bwana, na nakumbusha hawa waathiriwa wa janga la wizi so tulikuwa hapa tulipiga siasa mingi sana, tukajaribu kupanga hii kitu vile inapangangwa.
Yes.
Lakini dakika mwisho ikatuchenga, tukasema haidhuru.
So let me start from there. Oh, my kid,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. He had asked me a question about where I said Ruto's, because I said before we came on this one that Ruto's trip to US was a success. But just before I start, those ones sitting, I'm not a Ruto supporter, by the way. I don't want people to start hitting me up and down. I'm not. I'm just like compare and contrast. Like you said, we started from 2000. Yeah, we have been fighting Ruto since 2000. So the one reason, I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I think the trip was a success was one of things. First of all, in our network here, Rara was our captain to protest in DC. It never happened. That's one success. We failed. Another one, why I called that success. Ruto, when the fight started from Nairobi, when we knew how much it was costing, we were killing him, doing what? Then afterwards, then on the same trip, there's our so-called our people's meal. I'm just like, hey, for real? Now, Uriona, you can see it started changing the way people were talking. I'm just like, really? Now, how do you talk about against him when he has the people we trust? That's one thing. Those are the points like the outside, but before I come to the main ones. Okay, let me come to the main points. One of the things I think, let's not kid ourselves. I think it was a success for him, not for the Kenyan people, but for him. It was this narrative ambaye alikuwa anatanganya watu ati ameongea na USA creating digital jobs. So after he came here, he got this big stage. So if you go now, people think that one's going to happen, which is something I think is not going to happen. But at the same time, where in Kenya, you want to ask him to prove it, whether people are earning the money or saying, digital, nakumbuka akifanya finya computer, ukifinya, Taurus inaingia, nafanya. Hiyo ni kitu ambayo alikuwa anatanganya. But he was able to come here and just like the way he put it, so it's a narrative ambayo ataenda tumie, yeah? He's going to use it. You see what I did? I did this, I told you this, I did this, and I went to USA, wamefanya hivi. Some people now believe in Kenya because there's nobody who's going to make a forum. That's one thing I think it was successful on him. Not necessarily successful for Kenyans, for him. Another thing I think it was successful for him was the idea of, we have said Kenya came with Port Azimio, okay, and with this party. Then here USA, remember, it was also met by both Republicans and Democrats. So that one, he got that mandate. And all these things, what happened. And that one, I think it made him now, it kind of seed everything because there's nobody who's going to criticize him. Maybe if the Republicans have said, you know what, he's a fake president or he has done this and that, the way he killed people, the way they are protesting, something never even came up. That now you can just say, you know what, if they are not being accused, that's guys who are accusing him as a murderer. We did, and I still do. But if the so-called superpower, where he has come, the so-called human rights, the people who they believe in human rights, they can't even ask him on that. So which means he has succeeded. Another thing is the propaganda. If you see what he did was the way he framed everything is propaganda. All it came from his mouth, propaganda. So when he goes back home, it's going to be propaganda. And on that one, it's going to win. Can that one trickle down to the ordinary people? I don't think so. But it's enough propaganda he can use to convince his own tribesmen and some other people and for him to steal another election. Another thing I think, for me, which was the main thing I think it was so successful for him, is the media coverage. I tried to go around to see how it was being captured, like online, local media, and I think because of the local media, he was able to get some tracking, not necessarily a big audience, but he was covered. You go online, it was covered from India, from South Africa, and all these countries, they covered him. Not necessarily being positive, but you can see that his coverage was just all over the internet. It was all over the press. And that one makes him a little bit a success. Now, let me come to the main thing here. As Kenyans, we don't believe, you and I don't believe we are a democracy. We are a fake democracy. But when you come right now, the so-called media coverage of the United States and the White House, and you can see some clips there, they are saying the two democracies. Now we have become two democracies. Really? And yet we are being told he never won an election. Yeah, he never won an election. And because of that, I just say it was this propaganda of his. And now we are called a democracy when we are not. He won on that. And so now, also remember when he started as the king of Africa. He's the African spokesman. Guess what? He was now, he can claim that one. He can claim that one that because he was able to get to the White House. You see how he got the reception he got. You see how it was a big thing, something which has never happened for almost like 18 years since the Ghanaian president came in. I mean, that was big for him. And that's why I just say he won. And now the so-called things he was given here, people think he was given cash. All this, and that's what I keep on telling people. Those ones who have worked in the military and other places. When you get things in terms of USA, it doesn't mean that you are going to get cash. Some of these things, it is in terms of what they give you or what you can buy from them or what they can buy for you. But most of the time, they don't give cash. So because of that, I just think now he has a big stage, big microphone, big propaganda. He can just go there, maybe starting in the morning back in Kenya. He will say how it was successful. He will just say, oh, this, and that. Now he has this. And now, even if we start maandamano sahi, tutamuweza sasa. We can't. Because right now, zinasikia kuna hata ndege zinakuja. By September, zimefika. Yeah? Helicopters, zinafika. Na kila kitu. Sasa, unajua sahi, remember we were saying we can get him out of office before 2027. It's not going to happen. The only way is how do we deal with him on 2027 when ikifika. But before that, I can just say now he has seen everything. Tunaonekana wachinga. And Mr. Rara, nice to see you. Maandamano kuwa na maandamano. We liked it. Unless kuona. So Ruto can say it was successful. Back to you, Temba.
Okay, I get your argument. I get your argument in terms of what, in your view, was you consider success, and at least I'm able to picture what you're saying. I want to point out though, whatever it is that has come out, in my view, as what you're saying that he has been successful is has a history of what Ruto has been since we started listening to him. I mean, there's nothing new about everything that happened around the trip and up to right now. And in my view, I want to submit there was a glaring hand of the West in the trip and everything and the way it was planned up to how it happened. And I still also want to submit that there was much more about the American interest than the Kenyan interest in the whole trip, and especially as concerned to their interest with the regime of the Mr. Samuel Ruto, what they want to achieve through interaction with him, as opposed to what is important for the Kenyan people. And it is ironical that the same person who was extremely critical of relationship with the West is right now the poster boy of the West. You know, he was extremely critical, and at some point we could even have some videos where he suggested that in one of the AU meetings with people like Rwandan president and stuff, he said that why would they want other countries to determine for them their conversations around their country? And then in the same vein, he's moving behind them and celebrating, going to beg for the stuff that he got from there. So in my view, I find that very confusing. There's the stability in his narrative is lacking. He doesn't have one particular stability. Now, on the point that you said on him traveling with other Azimio leaders, I want to submit that once in Kenya, the Kenyan constitution, once we have elections have already gone, the system in parliament does not acknowledge, it is not so much between Azimio or UDA when they are in government. It is a parliament, and we have majority and minority. So we don't have we talk about opposition and stuff, but generally most of it operates together. So that in my view.
Let me see what I meant. Yeah, the thing is this. Sasa kama even you remember there's somebody who was saying they want to form a committee to find out how much hii ndege ilikuwa ina cost ambayo alitumia. So are you going to be the same party ambayo mnataka to investigate something you also used? It becomes impossible. That's what I meant.
Thank you. You see, the purpose of investigating and the purpose of even going ahead and questioning, it is a civic duty, and the parliament can still institute, whether people went or not, whether Azimio people traveled by it or not. If they still want to institute that investigation, they can do and give a report. Still, the constitution gives mandate to any citizen to pursue that and say, okay, we want to know how much did they spend. But of course, like we are saying, that one will be buried in the propaganda that, like you said, will be buried in the propaganda that will be put out there. And the government of the day is more experienced in propaganda. They use propaganda as a tool in their management, which I think is something that we can debate here maybe someday, because propaganda as a tool in this government is being used every day and everywhere. Still, I still consider whatever you have said. In my view, I don't think that as a parameter. I mean, for him, political survival, it could give him a political survival, but in my view, something successful about Kenyans is what translates into betterment of the Kenyan people. That's
why I say this is personal success, not a Kenyan people success. I would never give Ruto a Kenyan success. He's a dictator, he's a liar, he's a propagandist. I cannot give him that. Never. I would never do it.
Okay. Just before, I want to make one final comment, then I bring in Makiadi before I bring in Lala. One final comment. This one goes to Koome Mugambi. You talked about the idea of, I think, I don't know if it's you or Robert, the idea of civil society being funded through the president's visit. Now, that in my view is something we need to get worried about. You see, civil society, when it is receiving funding from the state, it tells you something that the civil society is going to be dead. Civil society receiving funding, being funded through the government. The same government can use the same funding to muzzle your voice. See? So I don't know if it was a case of concern for all of you when you realized that there was some money being given for the improvement of civil society through the same trip. I found that something not adding up. Civil society is supposed to actually put checks into the government of the day. I don't know, Mugambi, if you want to chime in, but if you can hold on so that I bring in Makiadi, they give their points, then probably you, at your point, you can say something about that. Makiadi, kindly come in.
Yeah, let me do this. I know Musimamo anasemaga yeye ni mtu ya internet, so let me give him my chance, whatever. Peane nini yake, then I'll come after him probably, if that's okay.
Haya, Musimamo, then Lala. You Makiadi, you wanna come after Musimamo, right?
No, I can come after Lala. Let Musimamo go.
Musimamo, go ahead.
Okay, I believe, am I audible, Mr. Temba?
Yes, sir, bana. Kumbe ni wewe. Habari gani?
Long time,
Nasikia sauti nikajua jamaa bana.
Wewe leo wewe ndio ulinifanya, umenipa mvuto wa kuingia hapa kwa fujo. Unajua ni muda mrefu nimekupeza ndugu yangu Temba.
Nashukuru sana bwana, nimesikia sauti
vile nani katangu hapa.
Nikajua kumbe ni wewe. Umeongea nikajua
Ni mimi ndugu yangu, ni mimi ipo jembe, sijachuja bado, na pia sijaamini kwamba tuna serikali mpaka wa leo. Ajabu ndio hiyo ndugu yangu. Lakini vile vile nimsalimie kaka yangu hapa kipenzi zaidi, Rich Makiadi. Ni muda mrefu pia kaka yangu, tumepezana bwana. Alafu mzee wetu la hapa Stone PK, ndugu yangu Kome, mzee wetu hapo Roba, na wengine wote ambao wanatusikiliza upande wa pili ule. Upande wa comment section. Mimi sina mengi ndugu yangu Temba ya kuzungumza. Maana naamini kwamba tutaendelea kuona vitimbi sarakasi kuendelea. Na siamini kwamba hizi pesa zinazungumziwa hapa kwamba labda pengine zitamfaidi Mkenya. Zaidi kwamba watu walimaliza bili yao na kazi yao, sasa kwa wanaenda kupewa reward, kwa sababu already naamini kwamba sisi tuko under America, tumetoa rais kutoka America na kila kitu kitakuwa America. So America si kwamba wanania swafi zaidi hasa kwa Kenya. So for real, hivi vitimbi na hii trip hii ni kwenda kupewa mkono. Maana tulionyeshwa mfano ndugu yangu hapa, ndugu yangu Temba, kwamba Thanksgiving ndio ilikuwa dili haswa katika regime hii ilivyoingia. So maybe labda hii ilikuwa pia ni Thanksgiving kwa ile kazi ambayo imefanyika swafi haswa, kwamba watu walikubaliana na kazi ikafanyika. Sasa ndio maana watu wanaenda kutoa reward, especially haswa swala lazima la Haiti. Labda hili ndio mchango mkubwa haswa ya haya mapeni ambayo tunayazungumziwa hapa kwamba yamepewana. So for real, kama kungekuwa na nia swafi na haya mapeni ya Mkenya, basi tungeona kwamba kuna mabadiliko, kama vile kwamba masuala na afya yangekuwa yamezingatiwa tangia awali. So tungejua hizi pesa zitamfaidi Mkenya haswa, masuala vile kama na elimu na kadhalika. barabara zetu na infrastructure na vingine vile. So for real mimi inaona ni vitimbi tu, huu ni mpango mzima majamaa wamepanga. Sasa sisi wakina msimamo kazi ni kupiga makofi tu tukiahidiwa mazuri, lakini mwisho wa siku tunaishia kukaangwa, haswa kwa ushuru ambao umeongezwa. So mimi siamini ndugu yangu Temba kibinafsi kwamba mpango mzima wa mapeni atamfaidi Mkenya, kwa sababu hakuna dalili. Mwaka wa pili huu unaelekea kwenda watatu na hatuna lolote ambalo tunaweza kuliona tukajivunia kwamba sisi wa Kenya kwa kweli haswa tuko na serikali. So sina mengi mimi ndugu yangu Temba, zaidi ya kwamba tutashuhudia vitimbi pale ambapo Wakenya tutasema nao hatutakuwa tunakuwa being controlled na mataifa ya nje, watake wastake, na tukipata viongozi ambao watasimama haswa kusema hapana, Kenya ni ya Wakenya na nitasimama na Wakenya, sio hawa mabwana ambao usiku wanakaa tofauti, mchana nao tofauti, yani hatuwasomi. So for real Temba, sisi tumekwisha kama Kenya. Mimi naamini hiyo kwamba tumekwisha under this regime, na tumekwisha haswa. Nikiwa na maswali mengi najiuliza up to date, hatujajua masuala mazima na chaguzi zetu zitakuwaje, maana hakuna tume ya uchaguzi, na hili swala linanipa kizungumkuti Temba. So for real, wacha tushuhudie wenye navyo washibe, wasiokuwa navyo akina msimamo wao wakaange mbuyu. Kwa hiyo huo tu ndio utangulizi wangu, ili nimpe nafasi ndugu yangu alionipisha haswa ndugu yangu Rich hapo. Then nipo leo nitasua kidogo, naweza nikakwama kama lisali moja na nusu nikiwa na nyinyi hapa. Nikikwamia nitaingia mitini, but pukeni zangu zaidi tena kwa mara pili Temba, Magiani na the rest, na mzee wetu Lala. Asante.
Asante sana Lala. Meshukuru sana kuona bana. Karibu sana. I'm very excited to see you. Tumekuwa kwa trenches pamoja, tumekuwa hapa. I mean it's good to see the old people, man. It's nice. Lala.
It's good to see you, Temba, and Kiadi and Simamo and wenzangu wote Roba. It's good to see you, Stone and all of you. I wanted, first of all, I raised my hand because I wanted to respond to Roba's sentiment. I think for us in this forum, we are supposed to be addressing two audiences. The first one is Kenyans. The second one is the American public. Why do I say that? I think Ruto visit and Washington Act was meant, first of all, to the Kenyan audience, that this man you don't like can change your life. This man, we trust him. We can, whatever's happened, forget about it. You know, he's there to serve you. And so whatever is being done is meant to achieve the very results, the very message that Roba, you're sharing with us. To make sure this is over, it is done. And so on that level, I think they've tried to do that. But I don't think they have succeeded, because one thing they have done is they have exposed the American audience who wants to know, because Americans don't know. You and I know who live here. They don't know anything very little about Kenya. In fact, the more you talk to them, the more they, tell them the truth, the more they ask questions. In fact, one of them asked me, why don't you guys have guns and get rid of Ruto? Okay. So they are innocently ignorant. Okay. So your role and my role, this visit was one thing, is to educate the American audience that this man did not win. Okay. And again, one thing that we must understand is that Ruto also has exposed himself now to the American audience. Okay. Now they're going to ask, what's our money going to do? Okay. And that's the reason why when we talk about Mandamano wasn't there, one of the emphasis that I made is for us to write to those Congress people, to write to, switchboards in the US, let them know who Ruto is, what's going on in Kenya, because that is what the Washington Biden office was scared of, that Americans will know the truth. And so in that sense, I think though there were no mandamano, but we talked about mandamano in Washington, but the writing, the calling, and the information, if you did what we asked people to do, I think we succeeded beyond even that little demonstration, which may not have a lot of impact because we are very few of us, okay? So on one level, I think Ruto may be appear safe is winning, but I think he's exposed himself to what Kenya know about him. Now the world is going to ask, who is this guy, okay? The US audience basically was primarily also to African Kenyan. And they are doing this because of the war, which is China versus US war in Africa. And that is part of the reason why they are trying to prompt, place like Kenya so that they can show they're doing something in the continent. And so anything that counter that, anybody that want to let the public know, especially the American public know, is actually they're scared, literally scared. So on one level, Ruto may think like he's won, but to me, my own mind, I think he has exposed himself in a way that will be very hard. In other words, his stars may not rise, may start falling, because now question will be raised. And Americans, see, the money is not being given, you know very well. Biden administration is pitching for the investors, the business community, to invest in Kenya, okay? So some of those are promises, and those promises will follow. What will follow is the study of the environment. Can we really invest money in this place? Of course, plus some few extra money given by the administration, which also may be questionable. Let me give you an example. I was in graduate school with a Nigerian young man, and he finished, but the school, which is a Christian school, wanted him to go back home. So what they did, they called immigration on him. So they came and got him in Ohio, and he was in the plane to London. Then the little church, a Methodist church, realized that one of their members was gone. They bombarded Washington with calls. The young man, Solomon, was brought back from London, back to the United States, because the voice of the people said, no, this is our member. We want to pay for him. He's with us. We want to pay for his graduate, for his PhD. And so the man had to be brought back. The power of the voices. And that's what calling Washington means, because it is about those congressmen asking questions. And most of them, I'm telling you, you and I know that Kenya is such a tiny little place. And so in some ways, I think if we did what we wanted to do, calling, letting the people know, writing, and posting, whatever we are posting, I think it's a dent on Ruto's character. So I'm of the opinion that we may not be badly off. So let me stop somebody else to come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Lala. And probably as you're there, maybe at some point when you'll be commenting also, there's something that you have raised about the continuous pressure that you put on the administration, especially on certain areas. Ruto's administration is lacking on key elements of democracy. And I think Kome has alluded to that, because I think having interacted, he's in Kenya and is interacting with that every day, he has alluded to the lack of sensitivity to the citizens. Something also that came out of the trip that Ruto had was, who was the protocol officer in that trip? It was this US ambassador to Kenya. And actually, there's at some point where she literally pushed Ruto to stand so that he can be taken a picture. In my view, that was a clear show of, hey, I'm in charge here, I brought you here, there are these things that you need to say and you must say them. And the voice of the US ambassador to Kenya also was so loud even during election. She was the first one to even admit the elections were free and fair. And she was the one even who announced that Kisumu will be a hotspot, even before the elections were declared. So the US interest in Kenyan's election was noticed way before. Now, to any keen observer, you will realize that as far as this is concerned, Ruto is a poster boy of America. I actually say that the administration is American administration in Kenya. It could be a scion of the one of the American states, if you can say, state number 53. When you finish the 52 states in, so there's another one down there, because Ruto now was high. Should I jump? And then, of course, he comes back with all that. So what you're saying is not that. In my view, I think what has not come out clearly is the interest of the American administration. And why prop him so much? Why give him that? There's something that we haven't gotten yet. In every deal, there's a cost. What is it that Kenya is paying? When Moi was given some extension of funds by IMF so many years ago, the structural adjustment policies came in, if we can all remember, where people had to be laid off and privatization started then. So what is going to happen right now? Privatization and structural adjustment policies that were introduced by Moi hurt Kenyans. And privatization, when it was done, some of those companies were bought by very influential people, and they laid off people, and their repercussions have been felt many years later. So what is going to happen this time around? What is the interest of the American people? I want to bring in Makiadi. Tafadhali Makiadi. I know Lala probably is going to comment on that at his time. Makiadi, tafadhali, your turn.
All right. Thank you, Themba. First of all, before I begin, I think there's a guy here called Eric Avam. He keeps on reposting the same message and he's going to spam our feed. So please, this guy, come on, make your point, tafadhali. I don't know if you can see in the comment section, there's a guy who keeps on reposting this message here. He's going to spam our feed. So kama kuna mtu
I can see Stone PK is here and Mato is at the back. They can see what to do.
Unaweza shughulikia hiyo jambo mara moja. Aya, so let me say hi kwa wale ambao siko nimewasalimia. Msimamo ni mzuri sana kukuona Lala. I think the rest tulikuwa na Rasvik hapo nimekuona. So let me begin here by saying I think I'll build on what Lala was talking about. Publicity is good, whether negative or positive. And I think Roba also alluded to the same thing. I agree with you. Publicity is good. So whatever Ruto did, during his state visit was publicity. Now, on the Kenyan side, we know Ruto. We know his stance. We know what he stands for. So every speech that Ruto gave as a Kenyan, looking at Ruto and knowing Ruto's background, we know it was just hot air. I followed up. I was following what he was talking about, that he has created 20,000 jobs in Ruiru. And I asked myself, is this the same Ruiru that mafuta ya kupika ilikuwa inauzwa 100 when everybody else was buying mafuta ya kukaanga at 300 shillings? So if you are a Kenyan and you understand the politics of William Ruto, you will definitely know that he was playing to the gallery. Now, coming back to what he did in the US, I think for him to build a name in the world scene or in the political realm, it was good for him. Kwa wale ambao hawajui Ruto, most of them were excited to see him. What type of a president from Africa gets this kind of reception in the US? So it was good for him. But unfortunately, when you get that limelight, the publicity that William Ruto got, it casts you in the world limelight so that people will be interested in following up on what you're doing. So to some extent, it benefits the Kenyans, those people that come out most of the time to protest against bad leadership, and they meet the full force, the so-called full force of the police. It helps them, because now, if the US comes out and saying it is funding democracy in Kenya, then the person who is in leadership also has to be democratic, or has to show some form of democracy. So William Ruto, maybe Roba, you are worried about ndege mpya kukuja, ati tulishindwa kumtoa wakati hakukuwa na ndege, sasa tutaweza. Maybe it is good now that he has attached himself to the US so much, they are conjoined. It is going to be difficult for him to meet violence the way he used to protest us. So I think on that side, it is okay. For me, if that helps, that's fine. Now, Koome was talking about a military option. I think we are very far from there. If you expect one day that you're going to see an uprising from the Kenya military to bad leadership, then my brother, tutaishi miaka mingi sana tukingojea, because I don't see us as a Kenyan, as a country that has gone through, those leadership cycles in the military without any iota or any incident of the military standing up to, these tyrannies that we've had in the presidents. I don't think we are going there, and I don't think we are yet. I mean, you should look at the overall leadership in East Africa, and you will understand that it is very complicated for any military, especially in the East African region, to begin an uprising against a leader. It is not in our DNA. West Africa, it has happened. People are used to that because it moves from one country to the other. But in East Africa, pengine itakuwa ngumu. Now, let me go back to one important. I think there was a day that I was here and I went through all those so-called, I think you're calling them promissory notes, and that's the best word to call these things that we are seeing on the media, these big numbers, millions and millions that the US has promised Kenya. And those are just promissory notes, as you guys call them. But I want to specifically talk about one here, and this one is important because I think that is one that would definitely change the economy of Kenya if it was to come to fulfillment. And this is this one. I'm just trying to get my information here clear. There's a company called the Everstrong Capital LLC that is said to have signed a deal worth about 400 plus billion Kenyan shillings with the Kenyan government to fund construction of a dual carriage from Mombasa. I think from Nairobi to Mombasa. I believe that's the information that I have here. I stand to be corrected. Now, I did a little bit of background check on this company, and I was very curious because I am a curious guy. I try as much as possible to find out why this company. So then I went and Googled this company, Everstrong Capital LLC. And so I looked at the company's website, and curious enough, the person who heads this company, the company's founder, is a guy called Philip Dyke, D-Y-K, who is a founder. I went to his bio on LinkedIn, checked his bio, and it looks like this guy has been working in Kenya for the past 20-something, almost 30 years. I also went to their website in the US. I looked at their website, and the founder is the same guy, and the company is described to have offices in Nairobi, South Africa, Durban, I think, and also the US. Now, what raised my curiosity about this company is the post of the chairman, the person who is the chairman of this company. You can Google that if you want. Now, the person who is the the chairman of this company is called Ambassador Kyle Makata. For you guys who follow the history of this guy called Kyle Makata, this was the previous ambassador to Kenya, the US ambassador to Kenya, before the present stooge, the present de facto leader of Kenya, the lady, I don't know, anaitwa nani. So I asked myself, when you see this company receiving a deal worth 471 billion Kenyan shillings, and the road, it's a toll road that is 440 kilometers long. It is a 4 to 6 dual carriageway, but it is still a toll road. And there was no bidding. So the government wants to construct a 4 to 6 lane dual carriageway from Mombasa to Nairobi. There's no bidding. They don't advertise that. They don't look for people to fund this. They don't try to weigh in on different investors. They went for this specific company, Everstrong Capital LLC. And that is when I realized that this is another scam. We always look at these things early enough. We come here and raise the red flag, and people say we are not patriotic enough. And remember, I'll circle you back to what we talked about before the G2G deal, the so-called oil government to government oil deal. Most of us came here and we said this is another scam. And people said we are going to save dollars. It is all about easing the cash crunch, dollar reserve. And we said that this is going to turn out as another white elephant project, and it is going to suck money from Kenya's wallets. Now, this one, I want to point you to this project right now. I'm not very sure that this project is going to pick up. That is number one. But number two, if it picks up, then it means somebody somewhere must have been compromised for them to go into an agreement with this company. And mark you, the details of this project have not been released anywhere. Nobody is aware of how much Kenyans are going to be paying back to this company. All we are being told is that William Ruto signed a 471 billion deal with a company in the US. Go check, go do your research. This company is registered in the US by name. It has no activity in the US. So this is the same as those companies zenye tunasikianga huko Kenya. Kampuni imeandikwa sijui inauza mafuta from Kuwait, but ukienda unapata ni ya Mushiri ama ni ya Karanja pale. I'm sorry to use those. I'm not against anybody. But this one is another company that is a ghost company in the US, registered by name, but operates in Kenya and South Africa and other African countries. Kenyans and those who are listening to us, keep your eyes open on this project, because from where I sit, we are being scammed clean. And this money that they are saying that they are committing, I was looking at the so-called government agreement with the US for these roads, and there's no record. The US itself, the US government itself is not connected to this project. So we are being tunauziwa ukora ya William Ruto in the name of an American company, investing in Kenya. Then as I finish, I want to say this. I always stand by my word. Hii trip ya William Ruto, it was, for me, I felt like Kenyans waligongwa, because I looked at the entourage yenye ilikuwa inatembea na William Ruto, and I realized that people are just checking off their, and I said the other day, people are just checking off their bucket list. People waliandamana na spouses wao, waliandamana na watoto wao, waliandamana na, all the joy riders at the taxpayers' expense. Now, most of the people told us, look at the money that we have found, we have been given by the US government in comparison vis-a-vis what William Ruto spent for the private jet. I think from where I stand, the money that was spent for this trip is not even 200 million shillings, because 200 million shillings is only the money that was paid to the airline companies. I was listening to another UDA stalwart, who is, I think, a spokesperson or UDA, and he said, when you look at the overall cost of this trip, it might add up to 1 billion Kenyan shillings. So we have spent 1 billion shillings to come back with promissory notes. There's nothing concrete. Hakuna pesa ambayo William Ruto anarudi nayo Kenya. It is just a promise. And the US, like you guys know, is in an electioneering period. There's no guarantee that the person you signed with an agreement is going to be re-elected. So are we getting value for our money from this trip? Where I stand, I don't think so. As I finish, I think I support the current president of the US. Unfortunately for me, this was a no deal for me, and I think that's where I lost. He lost my vote. Lala, I know you are a Democrat, and I don't want us to go that way. You know, Democrats versus Republicans. I think the kind of misjudgment that was shown with this trip really irked a lot of people. There are so many people that I know who are angered by this trip, because everybody knows who William Ruto is. And so if you give him that platform so that you can sell him as a leader, and most of us know very well who William Ruto is. I think for me, hiyo mimi kura yangu Biden ameangusha. Thank you, Ndema.
Thank you so much, Makiadi. You've brought some things that are very, 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 very important. Some of them that were also in my mind. I don't know. Whoever is saying that those are the things that you have just pointed one. I was going to say which other of those promissory notes are coming straight from the state, from the US government. Most of those things are coming from I don't know, this corporation. I don't know, this corporation. So were these things signed in Kenya and announced in the US? Because if you are looking at a company like what you have talked about, I actually saw that and I was like, okay. Number two, this ambassador, Meg Whitman, who is actually the one who is ruling Kenya now, that's a business lady. She's you see how she made her money, how she became a billionaire. She's just a businesswoman. What's her interest in all these business deals that are being signed left, right, and center? Have they struck a deal? What is her cut? What's part of what she's gaining from that? You know? And why come with electoral reforms? Probably funding the electoral reforms is also part of her gaining from that. So I agree with you, Makiadi. Some of these things need to be scrutinized. Some of these companies, I mean, why sign a deal without advertising? A company that someone who has worked in Kenya for all that time is coming to sign deals to build a dual carriage. It will face the same kind of drama that the other what do you call it? This one that was the Chinese road, the one that was constructed, the highways that were constructed the other day, and the SGR was facing because there was it was not made public. You know, nothing was being made public. So in my view, I want to agree with you, Makiadi. There are very pertinent questions that you are raising. And yes, this Ruto trip was a scam. And the people who are going to benefit in it are different people, not the Kenyan people. I want to agree with you that people out there, you know, should rise up and start asking difficult questions. Accountability. We need to know. I mean, who are these people? Some of these deals that are being signed, who are these? Why do you need all these companies signing small things that they could actually sign in Kenya? You know, I mean, why don't we have advertisement of some of those activities? Before, I don't know who, everybody has spoken, I think. Guru has spoken, Alan, so yeah. Everybody has spoken. I think I needed to bring Stone PK, but he has stepped out. So I want to start now again from up there. Before I bring Kome Mugambi, I can see Roba has a burning issue. Then I bring Kome.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. So what I was saying was, in fact, now you have reminded me something here, Makiari. Remember, in fact, I just remembered there was a company which was awarded the same company. I mean, the same service from Mombasa, from San Francisco and California. What happened? So it just looks like there's something here. Something's fishy. Even now, you go back to 2017, something happened that Kenya came out of whatever they signed with that company. So me, from the beginning, I was just like, I thought maybe USA is going to fund some of this. Yeah, sasa hii tumechezwa. Hii wananchi Ruto amekula kwetu hapa sasa. This is hii kitu ambayo it was, they came, you get USA, then you think that USA is going to fund this road construction. It's not. Yeah. The company, he just gave the company from the United States a contract. That's what they did. They just gave the United States contract to a company, USA company. Okay, instead of maybe Chinese. So sasa hiyo mtu amekuja kupatia company ya USA construction hapa iende construction roads back home. Sasa hivi mnaita goodies amekuja sasa hivi kupatiwa nini amepatiwa sasa? Ni kitu gani amepatiwa? This is our money which you want to pay for the road. Yeah. So let's be careful what we are saying, that alichukua vitu. Hakuchukua kitu hapa. Hakuna kitu hapa. So that's what I wanted to bring up. Remember, this road was also awarded to another, I think, South Korea company. It never materialized. It came out. Sasa USA, it was USA, South Korea, and now imeenda USA. Is it going to work? I don't know. Lakini sasa ataitumia propaganda at USA ndiye inafanya nini? Inafanya hiyo construction, ndiye inafanya hiyo. Uongo. So hii ni company ya Ruto. Watch.
Wakenya tumegongwa. Another thing, Roba, you can sit there and then maybe when another time comes for you, you'll talk about this. You talked about Babu Namwamba and how he didn't. I don't know if it's you or Kome, but I want you to notice something. Babu Namwamba's history with Ruto did not start when he moved out of I think it's Kome who said that. When he moved out of ODM and started a party, then went to Jubilee. No. It is Ruto, when he was the Secretary General of ODM, that brought Ababu to ODM.
Unakumbuka ile show nyingine alikataa akasema mimi na Raisi Raila Amolo Odinga akakataa kusema Kibaki.
Yeah, by that time Ruto was the Secretary General of ODM.
Yes.
And it is Ruto who convinced Ababu to join politics. By then, Ababu used to run something called, I think, Sharia or something, somewhere, Katiba or something. And then Ruto approached him to join politics. So Ruto had already planned with Ababu Namwamba from long time ago about ODM. Even by the time Ababu Namwamba is becoming Secretary General of ODM and Ruto is on the other side, they are planning together. Ababu Namwamba was never in ODM because of Raila. He was in ODM because of Ruto. So by the time things are turning up and is becoming a Secretary General, Ruto is knowing that you become. Now that's how Ruto works. Ruto prepares people and he has his poster boys. Even Jalango was sponsored by Ruto to come into politics. So by the time he's coming in and you guys are saying he's coming this side, he's just joined Ruto right now. No.
That is how the politics was working. So Ababu Namwamba's issues of running away with, I don't know, forming a party and going to Jubilee, he was just going to where he belongs. And he has been there up to date. Mugambi, how are you? Come back again. You wanna say something? Come, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, thank you for that insider information from ODM. I did not know. I see now staying with people makes you learn more. Anyway, I will not underscore the point. You know what I meant by that. The issue of
you are the one. You are the one who said that.
Yes.
Now, actually, when you said now, before you comment, I want you also to comment on this. Do you? I mean, you can also comment on this. The political system in Kenya, is it developed enough to have a reincarnation or a reemergence of an alternative force? You know, the political system in Kenya is very hegemonic. You know, the politics of Kenya, you can associate it with the individuals. For example, when you say ODM, Raila, when you say Wiper, Kalonzo, when you say UDA, Ruto, and it is more about the money. So, with the evaluation, is it possible to have a mass-led political system that is likely to rise to power in this generation? So maybe as you are giving your comments, you can just give your views on that also, probably.
Yeah. So let me begin to answer that question of hegemony. I think it's also evolving. Some time back, 20 years ago, all these people were there. Right now, the ones that are left are either too timid or indecisive, or both. Because out of that group, and this group is the last group of Moi, the people now who are on top, it's YK 2092. Then there is those who succeeded and graduated. And actually, every deputy president, former DO, president, you know, Moi is a spanner boy. I think it's going to evolve. I think Ruto might be the last beneficiary of that hegemony going forward, because I don't see anyone else who has created this cult personality going forward. Babu would want to do it, but you see, they want to cut his legs. So I think there is hope. I think it doesn't matter whether the system is mature enough. That was the word you used. I think there is coming a time in this country where people are quickly getting tired, especially the younger people, and I don't think they can be contained. I think right now we are in a better place, not in a good place, in a better place, in a better place, not in a good place. We'll become good, but we're in a better place because the hegemony is going away. Tribalism is getting dissolved slowly. It's still there, but right now there are guys who don't really care about the tribe, especially when it matters, when it comes to things that matter, because you know, tribalism was entrenched by our parents, mostly people who had a good life in Kenya. Either way, life was easy, you know, accessing land was easy. You could build a house by 29 if you had a good job or an average job. You know, So they were comfortable being tribal, but now, right now, the Kenya of today is that things are difficult for everyone, and things are good for everyone at the same time. The more the population grows, also the 1% also does not, the 1% does not grow, because they will never let you to that 1%. That 1% who controls the country. So the 99% is growing, and they are seeing these things. So due to the common experiences, I think also tribalism is being reduced because of similar challenges and similar, people are getting to understand that the white man in his way to try to cluster, to put a pyramid on the society and making some people feel better than others, like that. It's being watered down, because now people are coming to realize that we all die the same way. People they live in a flat of 7-story building. All tribes are there. If it collapses, you die, all of you. So it's not so much about. I think we are in a better place. I think if someone packages himself well, and also people are not that dumb not to realize someone is not honest, someone can ride this wave of people being disenfranchised. And I think even that 60% that people think Kibaki got, someone else might get it, if they can do their, as I was saying earlier, their homework. So I was listening to Richie Makiadi, and about the structural advanced adjustment policies that we are, is like the calm before the storm. They want to privatize everything. If you look on the other side, just before apartheid ended in South Africa, the white people went and privatized everything so that they could retain the capital. Right now, people who are clamoring for change in that country want to nationalize those things. And this is why I was saying earlier that we need to nationalize things like education and health as an emergency like this. Makiadi also talked about exposure, what Ruto is doing to himself. Yes, that's good, because now exposure, he might get exposed negatively. But now the other thing that we are afraid of down here in Kenya, in the global south, in the east, the media is captured. Our media is captured. I mean, there is no other media that in this world that is more captured than Kenya, because Kenya, we are told we have freedom of speech. But now we do not, we cannot access information. Information is, if you watch a news program at 7 or at 9 in Kenya, all news channels report the same thing. If they don't, some of them are so lazy that even they use the same words. You know what I mean? They use the same words, word for word. You go to KTN, Citizen, they are speaking word for word. It's like they were given a script. So I think the exposure, mostly there we might have a problem, because our media is captured. And even when I look at the media in America, because I also try to do my own research, it's also very divided. This left are even biased. Then the right are so right. It's so extreme. So nowadays, that's why we are benefiting on platforms like YouTube and X, because that is the only raw source of information you can get. In Kenya, it's totally captured. In America, it's so biased, either on the right or on the left. What does that leave you with? Anyway, maybe TikTok will help us there. So now there's a question you asked about What other things did they give you? Now let me show you. I have a list. I did my own research also, and I did a list. Let me read it from the. I want you to go with me and understand one thing. These people, whatever they have given Kenya is for self-preservation. The bigger the amount, the more likelihood that job will be done by either Americans or Americans. That money will go back because we are being told that there are 3,500 expatriates are coming. So these people need jobs. And let me show you where their jobs will come from. In number 8, Kenya Police Modernization, 29.25 million. There's a difference between million and billion. Number 7, Whistleblower Protection Law. That is they want to lobby parliament. This is money for bribing politicians. Whistleblower Protection Law, 39.82 million. Number 6, Improvement of Kenya Prisons, 292.5 million. Number 5, Counterterrorism Measures, 650.47 million. Number 4, Build Kenya criminal justice system. This is money, I think, going to the judiciary. 2.48 billion. Now we have begun billions. Now listen to me now keenly. Number 3, poverty eradication centered on malnutrition. 1.99 billion. Number 2, anti-malaria campaign, 4.44 billion. Now, this is where we began Themba. Civil society, promote an independent civil society, 173.1 billion. So now when you see that, now you know where the money is. Because this promote independent civil society, number 1.73 billion. This is not money that will come to help the Kenyans. This is not the money that Ruto is telling us that Kenya will become heaven on earth. This is going to benefit mostly migrants, Americans who are going, those 3,500. This is the job that their spouses will be doing. Hawa watu wametuonea 18. Those people who watch football. Number 2. So anyway, that is what I had to what I had. But when you look at the top 3 allocations that they have done for Kenya, you are left to wonder whether this trip was really necessary, because this is absolutely unnecessary. Our dear president went to, this is so bad. Our dear president went to America to give Americans jobs. Anyway, so thank you for the time.
Kama umefikiria hiyo kitu imekuuma. You see, reality is now sinking, especially when you realize at the end of the day, this trip was just Ruto trying to prop himself. You know, he was bashed during campaign as someone who is not liked by the West. So he had to come in and say that, you see, I'm the first person in 60 years, I don't know, in 18 years, to have been given this kind of treatment. And you guys were saying that I'm not. So the next, I can imagine the next conversation in a church this Sunday somewhere. It will be that mtoto ambaye wa maskini.
I saw somewhere on X, someone commented and said, take home from this trip is, I was the first African in over 20 years to have a state dinner.
Exactly. I mean, he was he was more excited about the other things. I mean, the other things about the optics of the trip than the trip itself and the reason that took him there. So you are likely to see that as a propaganda that is going to be played across many platforms for the benefit of the his himself and the 2027 politics. So at the end of the day, Kenyans wametoka nil. Mkenya wa kawaida from this trip. Some of those things, let me ask you, some of those things, did they require a state visit? Do you require the president to go to the US to have police reforms back in Kenya? Do you require a president to visit the US to have most of those things? I mean, malaria, we have always been having malaria fights going on, even without the visit to the States. So this trip was basically to prop Ruto as a poster boy of the US, not necessarily for all those things that he brought. I mean, apparently he brought, which I think even some of those activities could have been going on, So just so that you prop and look like I've come with all these things that have been signed when I went there, so they are reported that way. But I don't think it is something to write home about. Those who are in there, I had even one of I think you guys must have played that video here, that right now some of those guys in the system are driving big cars and buying big things and investing big monies in different places. So they are lining their pockets while Kenyans are suffering. I want to bring in, before I bring in, I can see Guru and Stone PK. Stone PK, do you have something you want to say before I bring in Guru?
Yeah, Themba, thanks. Unajua, now that I'm not moderating, I'm able to give my views, because that our audience wetu wanakuanga na siasa kali. When you are seated there, they don't want you to talk. They say, don't dominate. So, but I'm able to now, give my independent thinking. Themba, thank you for coming back. And, I've been on this platform and telling Kenyans, we goofed. And we should brave further. Now it's 2 years down the line. Now, even, I don't want to call it comedy. Ile ya Abunwasi ilikuwa inaitwa nini? Ni hekaya za Abunwasi. We are being fooled like kids from day one. By the way, Themba and all of my colleagues here who've been with me on this platform since when we started. Anything, because I've been taking stock, anything you see Ruto doing it's comedy. Tuita tu comedy, including bringing in akina anaitonani this they are not even vitimbi. Hata afadhali Ojwang angekuwa alive aletwe US. Anaitwa nani huyu jamaa? This I remember the name. Butita. Yeah, akina Butita. Honestly, sincerely speaking, why would you carry such a person? I don't know him, but I'm not having any personal thing. But in your entourage, presidential entourage, to a country where you're going for very high level, in quotes, high level mission, the way we used to call it in UN, that is the high level mission. And in such a mission, it is who matters, who is relevant to the mission. What are you going to look for? Because it is in search of something. And anybody who is carried on a mission sits on that table, sits on one table or the other. They don't carry dump. They don't carry slave queens and slave kings. On a mission, kila mtu amebebwa kwa mission, huwa ana roll at a play, either kwa plenaries or in those breakaway groups, okay, to be able to kind of articulate in your docket, in that kind of a thing. When you look at all these people that were carried by this guy, utaona tu yenyewe Kenya tumekwisha. Somebody who told me now it's no longer Kenya kwanza, it's Kenya kwisha. All right, and it is true. our country is gone. And if you want to know it's gone, look at the trivial issues we are dealing with. Unaambiwa utaletewa ndege, helicopter, unaambiwa, yani leo ndio Kenya imerealize haina ndege za kivita. Alafu when you look at all that concentration, ati nyinyi mtakuwa sijui NATO, whatever. What are the benefits of NATO for a country like Kenya? A small country like Kenya, unajua tumedanganywa sana. You are elevated. Oh, Kenya, you are this, you are that. You are simply being, number one, used as a base. Okay? Hawa watu wanataka tu base, mahali watakuwa wana land, wana fuel, they operate from that kind of area. And you as a Kenyan, what are you going to, una benefit na nini? Yeah? Nimeongea na jamaa mwingine hapa, very, mtu senior, ananiambia, tumepewa, unajua tumepewa ndege, ubaya ni mkoyone, ni mtu anatoka kule nimeoa, sasa singe mtusi. Anambia, unajua tumepewa ndege sijui ngapi, unajua sasa sisi tumeingizwa kwa NATO, unajua hizo vitu zote amenilistia. Nikamuuliza, hebu niambie, the kids you are paying for, ako na watoto 3 university, nikamwambia hao watoto kama si wewe unalipa school fees direct, watasaidika na nini? Aya, ule mama yako yuko kule, ule mama mzee kule nyumbani kule Keroka ako pale chini. Of all those things that are happening, the sum total, what is the trickle down effect? Where is the economy being expanded for our country? Nothing. Hakuna. Vile nikamwambia, huku tuko, hii nchi tuko, haijawahi kujulikana katika historia tangu ianzishwe kama ambapo mahali imesaidia watu bwerere, ati wamesaidia. Hamna. Mimi nimefanya kazi na sitaki kutambua, lakini nimefanya kazi na hawa, nimefanya kazi na idara ile kubwa sana. Sijawahi kuona mahali wametoa kitu cha kusaidia na hamna. Ati hao ndio wanakuwa either 80% ndio wana benefit, 20% ni ya personnel. Hiyo mali ingine yote, mambo yote kama ni miradi na nini zote ni direct, hela inarudi kwao. Sasa na ndio nchi ambayo katika mstari wa wale zile nchi ambazo zinasaidia ama zinaeneza kutoa ile inaitwa poverty eradication, America huwa ni ya mwisho. They are the last in the hierarchy. Norwegian countries are number 1. Chinese ndio wanataka kuchukua number 1, but bado wana nini? Yaani kwa maana nini? Norwegian wakikusaidia, wakikupatia donation, au ndio bado mpaka wale wanapeana mpaka grants. Grants ni kwamba chukua hela, fanya mnavyotaka. Okay? Hawa wa hapa unapewa hela, unaambiwa sasa tuna expatriates wetu 10 tunaleta katika hiyo project. Hiyo hela yote inagawiwa hao watu. Sasa lakini kwa mtu ambaye haelewi, unaanza tu kupiga nduru, na firimbi na nduru na zinaitwa ni nderemo, kwamba mmetoa usaidizi na Marekani. Marekani haisaidii watu. Marekani huwa inajisaidia popote waliko. Okay? Haya, ndege mnasema mnapewa ndege. Hampewi ndege. Ni majanga ndio zitakuwa damu tupo. Kama mtakuwa na bahati, kwa hili ndege zitafika. Lakini yenda ikawa ni promissory note. Tutapeleka ndege hizi, tutafanya hivi, magari hizi na nini. La mwisho, kumbukeni kuna uchaguzi unakuja, kutakuwa na change of regime ama kutakuwa na retainers of regime, lakini hata ikiriteniwa kutakuwa watu wapya. Kutakuwa maseneta manini wapya, au wanaitwa nani, congressmen wao wapya, na itakuwa lazima waje tena wa review haya mambo ambayo yametajwa kwa sasa. Na haya mambo yametajwa kwa sasa, yametajwa kilevel ipi? Bwana Temba amegusia, akasema hata na nindi amechunguza, akasema wale wote ambao wanahusika katika hizo promissory notes, very few, hata sijui kama kuna yote ambayo ni serikali direct, ni watu binafsi, makampuni binafsi. Hata mimi hapa niko na kampuni 2. Saa hii Bwana Temba, ukitaka kufanya kazi Kenya, chukua kampuni moja yangu na upate hela na uende ufanye huko. Na sina ofisi, address ni nyumbani ni nyumbani kwangu, but it's a very ukienda kwa website, I am very big. You know, because that is the game today. That is the game today. Huyu mama huyu mwanamke huyu tangu pale Bomas akizungusha maskata hapo, na watu wanajua ni mbiashara, ni mkora. Haya mambo yote anafanya ni unafiki. Hakuna, unaona vile, yani hata mpaka anaenda nyumbani kwa baba wetu kumlazimisha fanya hivi, senda hivi, fanya hivi. Mpaka amezima baba yetu kabisa, amezima kila mtu. Kila mtu, by the way, hakuna chochote kitafanyika katika hiyo nchi. Huyu ndio rais, na ndio rais wa dunia. Hata hapa nchi hii, huyu rais yuko sasa hivi hana lolote, hasemi lolote. Kwa hii trip wanasema fulani na fulani hawezi kuja kwa sababu ana ukora. Je, ni nani mkora kuliko huyu ambaye anaongoza trip? Murkomen is more of a thief than Ruto. Alafu hii nchi na vile inasema iko na intelligence. Nasikia tukisema Amerika haijui maneno ya Kenya, haijui Ruto, haijui. Sasa Marekani itakuwaje hijui vile wananchi wa Kenya wanalalamika? Ati mpaka sasa tuanze kuja kuambia. Ni kwa sababu Marekani ndio nchi inayoongoza kwa ukora duniani. Mkora number 1. Alafu kutoa Murkomen na nani, hiyo ni double standard. Instead of cancel trip, the head of the mission is a thug, or those who are in the mission are also thugs. So simply, we are not hosting you. So when I hear people talk about democracy, unajua mimi Bwana Themba, I ditched out hiyo vocabulary, nilitoa kwa akili yangu kabisa. Even after studying for a very long time, nilitoa hiyo neno democracy because it's garbage, it's nonsense. It has never worked and it will never work. Kama haijawaka kwa wale wanajiita ndio wenyewe, then where will it work? Wewe ndio umesema una practice, alafu unaiita ya hapa inaitwa American democracy. My brothers and sisters, ya hapa inaitwa American democracy. Kwa hivyo lazima muanze yenyu Kenyan democracy ama African democracy na wale wengine democracy. Hii hapa inaitwa American democracy. Kwa hivyo ukisema hii American democracy itafanya kazi Kenya, basi unajidanganya. Because hii hapa wanajua vile wanaimanipulate to suit themselves. Kwa hivyo sisi wa Kenya tuache huo upuzi na let's cook our own thing. Tuache kucopy na kutry kucompare with other people. Shida yetu kiatu mahali kinatufinya sisi wa Kenya ndio we brew our own way. Kama tutakirarua ama tutakivua ama tutakichoma, that is where we are supposed to go. But tusianze kucompare, unajua hii nchi imefanya hivi, sijui mambo nilisikia hapa mnaleta globalization, sijui ati nchi ya Kenya ni part of all this kind of. We are supposed to go radical and sort out our own jigger. We have to decide, how do we remove this jigger? How do we cut this gangery that is eating our hand, our body, our everything? This leprosy that we have in Kenya, how do we get rid of it? And I'm giving example of West Africa, the Sahel. They have designed their own way of doing it. You may call it whatever you want. And they said, we don't care. You can say we are dictators. You can say we are non-democratic. Sahel wamesema, it's up to you. Unajua wewe utakaa hapa Mkenya unasema, you know these guys are not democrats. Kagame is a dictator. To Kagame, it's up to you. And no wonder he said, if you come to touch anything Rwandese, I deal with you. Na akaambia hao watu. Sasa sisi wa Kenya watu mabepari ambao tumezoea to leak people's whatever it is. Ndio tunaimba nyimbo, that's democracy. This is no democracy. You know, you have to do. What democracy are we talking about? What parameters are we measuring this democracy? Where has it ever worked? So what I'm saying conclusively is, Kenya, it's up to you. If you don't design your own thing to get this gangery out of it, if you don't design to remove this jigger from your toe, then you are done and you are gone. And Ruto doesn't care, and he will not care. He's on a suicidal mission. It's like I say, he knows the clock is ticking towards somewhere where he knows he himself, and he says he has to go with those who will be with him. and is ready to sink with this country. It's like he has been given na anajua time limit ile ako nayo, so he has to do as much destruction as possible because he doesn't care, and he will not listen to anybody. Hata hizi unasikia hizi speech amefika, oh God helped me, this mission was God. Hata hataki kujua akina Gachagua wanapiga nduru. You know, I think at one time nimeadmire Ruto for a short while. A guy lands and he doesn't care what people have been yelling about. Don't you think this guy is in another world? And we are here, sisi tunaongea ma theories. Mpaka tunaanza kuongea juu ya 2027. We are just doomed. Back to you, Themba.
Thank you so much, Stone PK, for kwa hayo maoni ambayo ni very insightful. There are several things that determines, especially the regimes that, like for example, the Sahels. They're also playing in the global stage. The global power struggle between Russia, China. Remember China, Russia, and I think Japan. They're trying to entrench themselves into the the African power play, and part of this Sahel success is because of largely support from Russia, and those immediately after some of them had those coups. There was a Russia-Africa summit that brought most of those people together to try and say that, okay, fine, whatever it is, we are actually part of the ones who are supporting this. So it still plays in a global stage, even the success of those particular coups, if they take place. Rwanda strategically, I mean, they were colonized by the French. And the French has been losing its powers in most of its colonies, former colonies. So that also has a part to play in that. But we also need to appreciate what you're saying, Stone PK. However, if the people who are supposed to be bringing this change, it is the younger generation. In my view, I'm bringing you in, Lala. For a pressure to happen and to be put in the political system, the individual, like Stone PK is saying, has to feel that there's a connection between the problem I'm going through and the government policies of the day. Unfortunately, I think the images, like Kome was saying, Kome talked about issues of TikTok and stuff. The younger generation seemed to have either immunized or taken themselves away from the connection between what they are going through and the government of the day. So political consciousness and political organization around fighting a common goal in terms of either questioning the regime, in my view, is beginning to wane. People are less detached and less likely to hold the regimes accountable, especially in the Kenyan political system. I find more young people who are more and more detaching themselves from political conversation. And for them, it is becoming like it is something nice if you don't engage yourself in the political conversation or questioning the regime. So there is a generation of people, maybe Stone PK, what you're talking about would resonate well with a certain generation. Those who attach their problem with the policies that the government of the day has implemented, and those who think that your problem is caused by your inability to work hard to get what you're supposed to get. So most of them have found solace in things like social media and TikTok. That's why it becomes even easier for the regime to come and say that you don't have to struggle. You look for jobs online. Jobs are there everywhere. So they're actually saying if you can't get those jobs, and some of them have the audacity to go to the people and tell them, if you can't get jobs and you have a computer, why can't you get the job? So it takes the blame back to you if you don't get it. So they are less and less likely to be organized around questioning the regime of the day. I want to bring in Lala for 1 minute, then I bring in there's someone else who was just coming. Then I bring Guru, and there's someone else who was just coming. Lala probably. Then I bring this other.
Well, thanks, Timber. Thanks, all of you. I just wanted to just a comment on the previous presenter on part of the reason why America is acting is this way is because I think somebody stated that is the BRICS, the Russia, read by Russia as the reason why West Sahel area is rebelling. And I think that's what the Americans would like people to believe, that these people are just being influenced by the other side. But I think we have to also give these West African guys a kudo, because it is neither West nor East. They are standing on their own. And I think that's a message that should be out there clear. If they only, if the thinking is that we can only be influenced by other people to change our mind, then we are in trouble. And but genuinely, there's a fear from the West about Africa. See, the common thinking that they've had is Africans will try to tribalize things, they will rebel, they'll fight, but if you give them something little, if you give them a promise, they can be pacified, kind of patronizing of Africans. And it has worked in the past, where election is stolen, after a few goodies come in, some few things, then we just forget as if nothing ever happened. And I think that's the reason why they've taken us for granted. I believe they know exactly what is going on, but they're using the same script for us to forget and move on. So that's why it's this a psychological warfare that we shouldn't give them that advantage. I think Ruto, I think the other aspect is that they want Ruto to be feared, that the Mobutus, because Africans love somebody who is feared. And so fearing means give them arms, crop him up. So then voices will just go down, will be quiet, and the status quo will continue, and they'll get what they're looking for in Africa, and that's the end of the day. I think that is the thinking of the craft of some of these strategies. And so it is for us to counter that as those enlightened to know their way of fighting, for us to actually instigate and tell people no, we got to question, because when the masses learn of what is going on, they will rebel. I mean, the people, the lawmakers will listen, and they will question the same government that has given this kind of money to Africa. But also something else that you have to remember: whenever a country wants money in the U.S., the Western, especially Ukraine and Israel and others, they are sent to Congress. That's where they get the money. Okay. Ruto seems to be focusing more on the administration that really does not have that much money to just give like that without authorization from Congress. So I think some of these promises are simply promises. They don't have a lot of teeth. And finally, government is only a guarantor for companies. If you talk about planes to be given to Kenya, they are definitely or most likely go to company like Bell. And Bell are the ones going to have contract with Kenya. The US government simply are guarantors. So some of these so-called deals are just in papers. They're just to kind of change the narrative for Ruto, so that Ruto is seen as somebody with things, at the same time feared because he is a military man. And a lot of speculation, we can have, why was Ogola got rid of? What's really going on here? Was he questioning some of these things? So there's so much that we can raise, at this moment, but we cannot give that psychological benefit that they're looking for. I think we must stand, we must say, no, Ruto's a thief, is done A, B, C, D, and this is what, if you're strong enough, you will find people coming around. And I always give this example, and the example is Ethiopia. Abiy was the darling of the West when he got into power, because he was seen as a strong man who can put that country together, a reliable ally. But then after a while, things started going a different direction. And so they move on the side of who? Of the rebel, the Tigris, okay? Those are the people that were loved. They gave him time, a little time, for him to stay before he falls. Because that was the expectation. What did Abiy do? Took out his suit, got into the military, attire, and went to the front line. And the whole nation rallied around their president, and the US policy changed. Now they are the best supporters of Abiy, when actually they left him. So there are things that I believe we can do, especially let's know what they're looking for. And they're looking for Kenya to be an ally, that can help them retain their authority on Africa. And so they want to appease us. If you're not appeased, then they will have to change tact. And it is us, we who are here, that can be able to articulate this to our people to understand that we must put pressure. We must let other people know this is not our leader. And that way, security-wise, it becomes a question mark, a big question mark, for the reliability of Kenya as an ally. And they can easily shift to another country that is willing to do that. But I think Africa is beginning to have a common voice, and that common voice led by West Africa, the place that we thought, could not be where it is right now. But they are probably the US is looking into that region quite a bit to have somebody reliable and trying to bribe them, appease them, if not get rid of them. But they are with Ruto because they believe that all of us will be quiet and follow sheepishly, and so that they can have that presence to control the place. And of course, lastly, Ms. Whitman, definitely a business background, a Republican, which means it's about money. Tech person, which means the military hardware is needed, the cell phone and others are needed, and West, you get all these things. It's East Africa, Eastern Central Africa, Congo especially, until Kenya is the gateway. So if we can even speculate that for such a course, Ruto was needed, from day one. We need somebody that can have a control, can control to be a president of the country, because it's very unusual how they have been quiet all along, the theft and everything else. They got into the office and they are there. Ms. Whitman was there to make sure Ruto was the president. People from Kisumu like myself, those were areas to avoid, when actually all the polls stated that Baba was leading. Why would you want people not to go to a place where somebody's going to win? And some places where we knew were prone to violence, they never said anything. The Rift Valley. So there's a lot, trail of intriguing questions that we all Kenyans must have with all that has happened to the where we are. But the key thing, what we have is the pressure. If we keep pressure on Ruto, I'm telling you, like the highlight, like Makedia stated, the highlight now is perhaps on him. It's almost like you have a suit and some dot on it, and then you're supposed to go on the stage where there's a big brighter light. All of a sudden, those dirty parts seen. Yeah, there's the blood, whatever. So you don't want to be there. But Ruto now has to be there. The light, the bright light is on him. He can't escape it. And it's for us to be able to show the dot on every part of that space. And I'm telling you, just like in Ethiopia, America's run away. They will, because their promises are never kept. We know that. We know that in the Ohio, what I call Ohio tribesmen, the last of the Indians, Native Americans to leave, to be escorted west. They were told because they were Christians, they could not leave the Toledo area. That because they were Christian, they would keep their land, their place. Then after all those Indians left, and these guys were here, they came for them. If you read American history, these people were removed in winter. Many of them died, before they could reach the Arizona and other, the west side. And simply because these guys here needed that land, and nothing, the promises they had given these Indians were never kept, and they were moved. Their Christianity meant nothing, and they were gone. And so we have the history of these people. They are not there anymore, and they've been moved. So who is Ruto? Americans, it's about their interest. If they can't get what they're looking for, they leave, and we can make them see. And they're not very good at defending certain things, especially if they know the world is giving them a bad publicity, bad image. They'll be gone, okay? Including Haiti thing. So we must keep that pressure on this administration, especially those of us who are here. Let those congressmen know exactly what they've done. Let them know who Ruto is. And I'm telling you, they listen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lala, for that wonderful contribution and insightful. Now, just a point before I bring in Stone PK. Stone PK, you are asking, did you ask on Ruto's appointment? And I said it is on him taking Butita to his trip. It is the same Ruto who appointed Rashid Echesa to a very senior position. What do you expect from? It's the same Ruto who appointed some guy who could not express himself to be an ambassador to Congo the other day. The guy was being interviewed, and the guy did not even know. He didn't even know. There's something he was asked, a question that he didn't even know what he's supposed to be doing. He's the same person who was appointed for us, the guy who gave us fake fertilizer. So, I mean, there's a lot of fakeness in Ruto, such that when he appoints someone, that is his way of doing. He's appointed. Sudi was seen in some place where there was National Security Committee, and you're seeing Sudi there. That Sudi is part of the people who are now organizing the government. So if such kind of clowns are the ones who are in the National Security Council, what do you expect of Ruto? Stop giving him too high expectation. The people that you'll see in his, he's more of a populist in his actions. That was supposed to, according to him, appeal to the younger people and say that now we are appealing to the creative economy. And then you see some of the actions. I mean, you don't want to. When Ruto does a good thing is when you should question, how did he pull that out? because his nature is to give us mediocrity. Ruto is asked by someone that I had bought fertilizer worth 250,000 and have not been compensated. Ruto, instead of giving a fair answer like, I'm going to look into that, he said, we told the 7,000 people to register and we have compensated all of them. So we are going to compensate you too. Who gives such an answer in such a platform, which was actually a lie, and many other things that you can pick out. Anyway, I think I want to leave at this point, and I think Stone PK is here. It was really nice engaging with all of us. Stone PK, Lala, Richie Makiadi. Nice meeting, Kome. Kome Mugambi, are you still there? Nice meeting you.
Yes, I'm here.
We are meeting you for the first time, so I'm really impressed. When I listened to the contributions, I really liked your kind of line of thought. Nice meeting you, Robert. I know you are a veteran here in this platform. We have engaged a lot. We will continue. Guru, Richie Makiadi, bado uko hapo? Richie Makiadi. Ama ameshaenda. And the rest. So I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm hoping next time we'll meet again. I want to give it back to you. Good. Yeah? Someone say something? Okay. Richie Makiadi, nice seeing you, Bana. I think when we come back again, we start our Rumba sessions. These guys, Lingala Congolais.
wewe kama ulitupa suti yako, bahati yako mbaya bana.
Na suti yangu bado iko. Mimi suti yangu haendi mahali.
Unajua Julia alisema siku moja hawa wa jamani ambulance itaitwa. Wakiwa wamelimana State House huko. Wamemalizana. So ninaona hiyo kitu inakaribia. We have tried to reform the institutions in the Republic of Kenya. It seems like it's not going to work. We have tried the Koome Mugambi way to pray that the military does that thing. It is not working. So whatever is happening in Kenya right now is where we have always expected it to go, where these two people will fight each other until moja anapelekwa KNH, mwingine anapelekwa Mata Hospital. Na mimi naona ni hapo tu ndio tutaelekea.
Umeona leo ati walikataa kusalimiana. Anyway, I want to give it back to Stone PK. Thank you so much, guys. We'll meet again. I really appreciate it. God bless. Stone PK, back to you.
Thank you, Ndugu Thamba, for your help coming in and helping, and it's nice bana. Ulikuwa umepotea kabisa mpaka tulikuwa tunaulizana. Even people are inboxing me. Wanauliza, unajua kuna jamaa alikuwa anaitwa hivi, anaitwa. So
Stone PK, what happened to your number? I tried getting to you through the number that you gave me. I am you have my number. Can you inbox me your number? I tried WhatsApping you and it wasn't good. I have Makiadi, so
no, Makiadi. You can take it. You can take it.
Kupeana hapa kutafutwa na watu.
Watu wakinitafuta sijui watakuwa wananitafutia nini, na mimi si Ruto sasa.
Okay, you can give it to me if you don't mind.
862
yes
253 77
okay
83
862 253 7783, right?
Kabisa.
Okay, fine. I tried looking for him, like I'm looking for this Stone PK and to give me his name, but not. So I mean, it's good. Sisi bado tuko ngangari Stone PK.
Karibu, asante sana, asante. Unajua bado wengine tulikuwa tumelose hope kabisa, tukazama, lakini nafikiria Mungu ni mwema. Tulikuwa tunadhani Mungu ametusahau. Like wengine hata kanisani hatujawahi fika because we thought imechukuliwa na Ruto. You know, it was so bad. Remember what happened in front of our eyes, and even there are people who got sick. It was so serious. People went into depression.
On DK, I was out for almost.
But you guys, Makiadi, you remember here the last day to the election, Makiadi and I think it was only Makiadi and I who are sober here, and we told you guys that as you go to sleep, be ready for either
we wanted to kill you.
Makiadi, nakumbuka tukisema hiyo hapa.
Tulifikiria mmenunuliwa. We were mad at you and Makiadi. We were very mad.
You guys were mad at us.
I never went for work for 1 week. I'm
Yes.
just like, is it a dream or it's just it's some miracle. I was calling for a miracle to happen.
When we left here that evening, we told you guys, by the way, as you go, be ready for either a Ruto win or a Baba win. So
Do you know some people never forgave you people because mliposema hivyo watu wanafikiria mlikuwa mnajua bwana. I'm telling you. Alafu mkaenda chini ya maji. People are telling me stop tafuta Femba na kina Makiadi. Hao watu walikuwa ni wanaitaga nini?
Kwanza nani our last show ndio twende election, anaitwa nani huyu jamaa wa Coast? Alikuwa anaitwa nani Makiadi huyu jamaa wa Coast?
Nani yule?
Huyu jamaa alikuwa Mombasa huyu. Huyu jamaa alikuwa
huyu mpisi. Nani?
Abuya ama nani?
Abuya. Alikasirika na sisi sana hapa.
Kabisa.
Alisema wachini kuongea hivyo bana, hata naweza kutoka hapa.
Since that he never even came back, I'm telling you.
Do you know?
I'm telling you, waje nikwambia the worst moment wakati nilikuwa nimeona akina Sudi just headed to the Bomas of Kenya. Nilisimika.
Nikatafuta Azimio siwaoni, naona tu ole nani this guy ole Dama peke yake ndiye anapigwa na viti huko. That's when nilijua hii imeenda. Na ngoja
the clearest moment that this thing was gone was when akina Baba called all the Azimio members kwenda ati commit sijui KICC, kwenda sijui kumito wabunge wote sijui wa Azimio, Baba pamoja na akina Martha Karua. You see, if you are the ones who are winning, why would you want to go and meet to assure yourself that you are winning?
Yeah.
I'm one person, Selma. I think from the even before election, Musalia knew what was going to happen. Huyu jamaa wa huyu anaitwa you papa wa Roma, sio mnamwitaje hiyo. Hata yeye alijua what's going to happen. So that's why the speaker, the useless, the most useless speaker Kenya's ever had. He knew what's going to happen. That's why they ran from. They knew this thing is going to be stolen.
No, you see, the thing is this, what is emerging right now? Even all of you have noticed. This thing, hii mchezo ilikuwa imechezwa kitambo. So by the time nafika 2022, it was just implementation.
And the truth is very bitter. When we say hata Uhuru alikuwa anajua, then people start saying no. Because
it's possible Uhuru never knew, but the people working behind Uhuru, more especially the state control, they knew what they were doing. Walikuwa wanamtanganya.
Roba, what sort of a leader would you be that you don't know everything? You should be like Museveni or Kagame. I know you don't like these people because you call them dictators, but Roba, you cannot do anything in my house, and I don't know.
I can't see your face.
No, I'm here. You can see my face.
Oh yeah, now you're okay. Yeah, you're just.
Yeah.
All right,
there we go. It would be so wrong. You better be a dictator, Roba. For you must know everything that is what we call security. In Tanzania, do you know Sulubu knows what is happening in every kijiji? Not necessarily to Sulubu, but the president.
Let's not just forget, it's just they have the so-called provincial commissioners, the way we used to have. And that one, which means nobody's going to get system out of power.
No, Roba, I want to agree with PK on this one. There's no way as a leader.
Yes.
You should. Can you imagine the people that are being appointed by Ruto right now are people who are the inner circle of Uhuru.
Yeah,
that's what I'm telling you. Uhuru maybe walikuwa wanamwambia hiki.
No. Why should you allow that as a leader? Why should you allow that? Why?
Then he's a fool. He's a fool. We don't do respect
right now.
He's a fool. Ni mlevi wa kawaida now, I'll even call him that.
The place where he fed me, angesema one sitapeana nini mwenye nitapeana ni yule ambaye ameshinda. Hapo he felt. None. But because unajua yu mama ambaye unasema huyu ambaye mpaka saidi unajua is like this, nitamuitaje huyu Widman. Ni kama yeye hata Ruto ndiye anamwambia do this, fanya hivi. Yani it's everywhere.
Si Ruto yeye ndiye anarun Ruto.
Yeye ndiye anarun Kenya. Bwana mbona unapigia vitu?
Remember ile remote ya Musalia Mudavadi alikuwa anatuambia ati Uhuru Kenyatta ndiye na remote anarun nanio at papa. Sasa ile mama ndiye na remote ndiye anarun Ruto. That's what she's doing. Yeah, ndiye na remote. Huyo
Roba, I agree with PK. Uhuru failed terribly in power management. Makiadi, you can agree or disagree, but Uhuru failed terribly in power management.
Yeah,
I think from the beginning, where I think Uhuru failed, when they realized some of these people were being brought in the country, he was the one who's in power. He had all this security. Why couldn't he go there maximum on this guy? Maximum. Some of them came from Colombia. Some of them he could have just gone maximum and just felt, this is the way. Remember when people are being caught with laptops? That's when angeharibu election ya sababu najua nini? Tunajua ujinga wenu, you want to steal election, but I know one kwisha. I want to give you power.
Can I tell you something that made me lose hope in Uhuru? The day he started crying, analia, mnataka nifanye nini? Corruption, 2 billion zinaenda. A president screaming. Unapiga nduru. Orezo. President, unapiga nduru, unalament kwa TV to press. Which country? Which president does that in the world? Hata in the failed states.
But
nobody.
Ngoja Roba tusikie Makiadi aseme nini ndio niende. Makiadi asemaje?
No, Stone PK, I have to say, I think we had this discussion some time back and we agreed here. Some things that happened, some of the things that happened to us the election, the election day and also on the election day, where those things should have raised a red flag somewhere. A police commissioner taking, what do you call this? A litanini.
French leave.
It was sick leave, I think. Yeah. Indefinitely. So the police commissioner is taking a sick off indefinitely. We are being bombarded with news that the former CDF has been sent to CG bombers to try and influence an election. And then the Minister for Security, CS Security, Matiang'i, who was vocal enough, goes silent all of a sudden. And then we come here and say that probably this election was not stolen. Probably we lost because we didn't have agents. Let me tell you guys, this thing was stolen just before, even in front of our eyes. It was just stolen as we saw it on TV. Bombers of Kenya, the election was being stolen in front of our eyes. And unfortunately, there was no one to stand up for the Mwananchi wa Kawaida. There was no one, including the former president himself.
Including Raila.
I mean, Raila was not even in a position to defend himself, because if at all we were calling ourselves the regime, we were supporting the regime, and the election is being stolen by Chebukati. Chebukati comes out with announcements that are not even coherent. They are not even agreeing with any commissioner. He comes out with a paper and then he says, these are the these are the election results. And then we put our hopes in the Supreme Court. kumbe huyu jamaa alikuwa amecheza game yake kitambo sana, you know. And then as we go to the Supreme Court with the empty boxes with these guys that Ndemba is mentioning here, Kina Jalango, people who are propped up by William Ruto, tumebeba box kanta mzima tunapeleka Supreme Court. Rigathi Gachagua is somewhere in Nakuru there telling them, sisi tumewaachia waende kotini wamalize kesi yao kotini, sisi tunajua tutaapishwa tarehe fulani. You know, you look at the confidence that these people had during the election, before the election, and after the election as we were waiting for the Supreme Court ruling, then you should have understood hii kitu ilikuwa imechezwa mapema sana. We had no choice. Hata kama ungeweka agent 10, unajua mimi nasikia watu wanasema ati nani alikula pesa ya agents, anaitwa nani huyu jamaa? Junet Mohamed na Joho. Let me tell you something. An agent will not make you an elected member of parliament. An agent will not make you an elected president in Kenya. There are people who you see right now controlling the president that had already decided this is the person who we are going to make sure that is the president. And that is what happened. So right now, he is paying the debts. Unaona? Analipa wale judges alikuwa ameahidi ya kwamba nitakuandikia judges. That is what he's doing. He is, you know, going all over with Meg Whitman. Kila mahali wakisema wana raise CG money projects and all that. These are the people who are controlling the country. We had no choice. And I'm telling you, from where I sit, Stone PK always keep on saying this every day. As Azimio, as it stands right now, do not have anybody. People are saying Martha Karua can stand against William Ruto. Let me tell you, with William Ruto in that seat right now, even in 2027, hakuna haja hata kusema munaenda uchaguzi, because there will be no election. Simple. All these things that you're being promised that he reforms your IEBC. I said yesterday, the other day, and I'll repeat again. If we have a problem in our electoral system, then Meg Whitman could not have gone to the media station and said that the election was free and fair. So tunapakwa mafuta. Hizi pesa zote unasikia ati unatuma America sijui kureform. Why are we reforming something that we agreed was not wrong in the first place? Why? Why are we doing that?
If it did a good job.
If it did a good job. If it is perfect, why reform it? It's as simple as that. These people knew what they were doing, and they are prepared again to do it again in 2027.
And Makiadi, listen, when all these things are happening now, fast forward to now, where is the voice of Azimio anywhere? Yani hakuna mahali mtu Azimio anaongea. Then what are we talking about? Nobody saying anything.
I don't know where. I don't know when you talk about Azimio. I don't know whom you want to speak, because the person even who was appointed to lead the Azimio parliamentary caucus, ulimuona White House akikunywa chai. In fact, let me tell you, and you guys saw, Opio and I was trying to hide away. He was trying to hide from the camera. You know, it was so embarrassing. Exactly. It was so embarrassing for Opio and I to be seen with William Ruto, to an extent that people had to show ndio huyu Opio and I hapa, because in Kenya, in Kenya, people are complaining that this was an extravagant trip. Hold on, Robert. Nakamoja, Robert.
There's a place where they're walking at the warehouse where Osoro, my member
Osoro, yes.
He's trying to tell me, hey, that's him. When I check and I point at him, and even during the so-called dinner, you can see he's not comfortable.
Opio and I is feeling, you know, he's not in the right place. But let me ask you something here, Stone PK. I am one of the people who criticized the appointment of your Opio and I as the minority leader. I am one of the people who said ODM has settled on a non-starter. And people said, apana hapo unamuonea nini? I said, you know, for Opio and I is not even an aggressive person. You know, if you take the way Sifuna takes himself or carries himself, and you compare the same with Opiyo and I, these people are on a different level in terms of keeping the government in check. So kama sisi tunalia juu ya 200 million ya kubeba watoto ya Ruto, bibi yake, daughters wake, Butita, nimeona kina Itumbi, all these characters, we are complaining here. And the person who is supposed to hold this government accountable in Kenya, hata yako hapo ndani, ako kwa hiyo trip. Sasa hebu niulize, wewe kama Mkenya, unatarajia ni nani ataweka hii government?
Investigate him now.
Finish. Sasa, now, let me tell you. Ndio nasema elections in Kenya are finished. Roba, Makiadi, Demba, and everybody else. Indeed, party politics in Kenya is finished, gone, dead. We have to start a new chapter. ODM is all gone. It's garbage. It's rubbish. I don't know what they will even stand to tell people. I know we have diehards in who are party politics. Party politics imemalizwa kabisa. So when you talk of sijui at refurbishing parties, sijui, what would Wandai come and tell people in a rally? Hata akienda huko kwao Nyalugunga, aende kuongea. I'm telling you, this is the time that, everything has died in Kenya. It is so sad that we've built so strongly towards our parties, but they have come to naught.
Okay.
Ruto is so powerful.
One question.
Yes.
So what's the solution now?
One question. Yeah. Robert, that's a good question.
I'll give you.
Do we therefore say that William Samoei Ruto will be a president for life until he decides that now I want to leave? What do you think, Kome Mugambi? Let's hear Kome. Kome has been quiet. Guru, I know maybe he's asleep right now.
Yeah. There are many. I have like three answers, but let me just answer what you are saying about Ruto.
Usiogope Mugambi, najua wewe ni Mumero bwana, tia ukera. Sema ukweli, unafikiria nini?
Unajua, before Mugambi say something.
Najaribu kujieleza. This guy, when he came in, he created a larger than life impression of himself. And even you see why he's going to America. Me, if you ask me, I'm not going to answer for anybody else. I think he's going there for self-preservation. I think he wants to pull. Lala talked about Ibe, Prime Minister of Ethiopia. But there's something he didn't say. Maybe I had stepped out and he said, but me, when I see the Ibe story, you know what happened with Ibe? Ibe aliingia. Then wakamchangamkia, and I think it happened earlier than what has happened, because now Ruto is 1.5 years. For Ibe, it happened some months into the position. They even gave him a Nobel Peace Prize, if you can remember. Now, Ibe comes from a community called Oromo. It is the biggest community in Ethiopia. Ethiopia has been run since when they toppled Haile Selassie. It has been run by Tigray people, whose population is 6 million. Oromo are 34 million. And Ibe is from Oromo. He's a Oromo Muslim. So what happened? You know the problem with the issue with these Americans, and that is where Opiyo Windai comes in. When they make you their spanner boy, they don't keep your enemy too far. He's just inside the fence, but not in the house. So that's what they took him in, but the Tigray people, they did not. They were told Kaini Karib. Same thing you're seeing ODM going to White House. Now what happened with Ibe? Ibe did not follow the rules. He decided to vanquish the Tigrayans, if you can remember, and even the war is still going on, but now chini ya maji. Actually, I think you see what is happening in Gaza is the same treatment that Ibe did to Tigray. The population was starved of food. They could not even they could not access food, water, electricity, internet. They were beaten. They have been really hammered. So now when the Americans saw, now the Tigrayans were plan B for Americans. So sasa umegonga plan B, they came, oh, you're a dictator, nini. But IBE beat them at their own game because alirudi akam, which is bad, very bad, because many people died. He vanquished his opposition. Now he's the only person. He's in the third term. If for your information, he's serving his third term. The Tigray people are finished, but they are not that finished because even until now they have their own army. So that is what Ruto is there for self-preservation, but the Azimians are not very far away. If he does like this, Meg Whitman will not hata kosa maneno ya kuleta mzee. So I think that is the game. They are all in a game. We are the spectators. The other story about Uhuru was a believer, and that is why he became so lazy. I think since he was born, his father told him, "You are going to be the president," and then he became the president. Then he started thinking that he's anointed or something. That is, he has some supernatural. He can do whatever he wants. Whatever he says, people will follow. So that's how he was played, because he became very lazy, because he believed in himself so much. Anyway, you can study that story.
So Mugambi, my question is,
Mugambi, hold on, Robert. Mugambi, I don't think Uhuru believed in himself. Uhuru is a reluctant king. He doesn't believe in keeping in power management, African power management. What Makiadi is saying, there's no way your majority leader can run away from you. Another majority leader runs away from you. Another one becomes the whatever, the governor. I think 3 of them are governors.
I have an answer for that.
He's just.
Let me tell you one thing. I think you do not remember the story. I can remind you the history of Uhuru. Just before Uhuru was held the hand by
Moi.
This old man. Paramount chief. Michuki. Yes. Just before he was held his hand, Uhuru had lost an election in Gatundu South. If you can remember. Moi had badly. He had lost an election badly. He was beaten thoroughly. People did not want to see him. People did not want to be associated with the Kenyatta family at that point. Then kwa bahati yake mzuri ama mbaya, post-election happened and somebody said he's the hero. Whether it's true or false.
Exactly. Hiyo ndio tuliusiwa. Imagine the person who was that time because of ICC, ambaye alisema case ifanyike Kenya was Raila Odinga. But instead, the same people who said they wanted to go to the ICC, wakati ICC ilikuja, wakasema sisi tunachukua na nani? Na Raila. Sasa, since then, wakaungana. It was a sort of fake story, yeah? Since then, this is what's been happening. Wanajiweka, wakaiba kura, and that's why I keep on saying, Kibaki will go down as the worst person ever to rule our country. He messed our country.
Yes, Robert. But I'm trying to underscore the point that I was telling Vemba, that Uhuru is a believer, because just as when he was vanquished, done, he rose like a phoenix and became the president. So I even know this time round when he was there, he was sitting pretty in State House and thinking that Mount Kenya will do what he says. He was now manifesting his supernatural powers in his head, and the sad part is that Azimio people are following him.
Now you see now finally, so that I go. You remember there's a point that Ruto said when Moi was defeated. They were with Uhuru and Akina Mudavadi.
Yes.
And Uhuru disappeared from the room, so Ruto was left alone.
Yeah, that guy has never been a fighter.
That guy has
He has
never
never
been a
put up
fighter.
anything in life.
And you see, when the Azimio guys tried following him after that BBI thing failed,
He
I
disappeared.
something told me that this was the best time for Baba to leave this Uhuru alone.
Yes, that was the best time to bolt.
And go and start working on your way up to get the presidency. Instead of hanging with this guy, you cannot get BBI to pass. What else how else can you help me?
There is a guy, a friend of mine says, Damu Ninzito, you know, comparisons of father to son, you know, that is the same thing that messed Jaramogi up, because Jaramogi also had a similar opportunity. And he said, let's wait for Mzee. Mzee wa nani?
That's happened to tulikuwa cast.
His son, this time after BBI, had the same opportunity to jump ship, and he stayed in. I mean, how can you make these things?
But I think you guys are mixing two situations here. We've had the second instance here. We are talking about an election. Now, for what happened in 2022 was not a matter of whether you are liked by the people or whether you are voted or whether you received the largest amount of votes. It was not about that. It was about the highest bidder. And you see, people have come out openly to tell us that there were 2 commissioners who were working in people's homes doing the bidding. I mean, you know, we only listen to one side of the story where people say that the former CDF was trying to hold on, Kome.
I'm getting to that.
That the former CDF was trying to enforce, you know, William Ruto's win to be overturned. But then there's another story that came from Raphael Tuju that no one wants to talk about. Raphael Tuju confesses here and says that there are 2 commissioners who came to my home and they told me this is the amount we want.
Makeri, alisema natupatia tape. Huyu tape iko wapi? Alisema is not give us.
Sasa Tuju anatupiwa sofa set nje nyumba iuzwe na nini na auctioneers. Wewe unangojea tape roba. The guy is fighting right now to salvage his houses. Wewe unangojea tape. Na mliachana na nini kitambo sana. Mliachana na election kitambo. You guys took empty boxes with the likes of Jalango. You are not able to prove that in Baringo there's only a gate. You know, that is called a school and a polling station. There's only a gate, no structure inside, which produced votes to elect William Ruto as a president. You cannot prove that.
And nobody's talking about it right now.
2 years down the line, things are coming out that there were polling stations that were gazetted that are non-existent. Hata tumeona. And to make matters worse, we can even see that the government was committing funds into these so-called primary schools. So this thing is known even from the time before we went to the elections. It was very well known that there are ghost polling stations. We were not able to prove that. Sasa saa hii wewe unataka Raphael Tuju akulete tape upeleke wapi Roba?
I think now there's something we are going to lose here, and I don't want this point to get lost. The point that we don't want to get lost, me and Themba, is that when Baba realized that Uhuru was no longer catching up, he could have cut the rope and gone alone, because at that point, even if you know human psychology, his diehard supporters, some very diehard supporters, walikufa roho, so they didn't go that hard. First of all, because of the handshake, then this. You are with this guy. Wait. You are with this guy who tells you he's going to bring the Mount Kenya vote, and he does not step into Mount Kenya a single day to campaign for you.
You are wrong. Now you're telling us.
No, is that wrong? Is that wrong? Is that true or false?
Either one direction.
Is that true or false?
That's true.
I tell you, I'm going to support you, and I never go to the ground for you, even a single day.
Fine. But guess what?
No. You see, Robert, relax. I agree, Robert, relax. I agree with Gome. First of all, you need to agree that Uhuru did not manage power. There's one thing about management of in Africa, you must manage power.
Okay, that's
If you
okay.
don't
But what I'm
manage
saying
power,
is,
that's it. And
let
then
us not talk as if Ruto one direction. He never
what?
won.
No. Listen. Ruto is the president.
Uhuru Kenyatta.
I'm bringing you.
Did his job. Raila got more votes, but instead we had fake stations.
I'm telling you the road to the results.
Now
I'm not
that's why we
saying you
can
won.
blame him. He must have
bringing you to
what did he do?
I'm taking you step by step. What happened,
Who
in
won
my
the
own
election?
opinion?
2022. Who won the election? Mugambi.
That's where
Who
I'm coming.
won the election 2022?
Wait, you will not tell me to say yes or no. I'm going to get there. You will conclude. Now see, Makiadi, the election is not even won or lost. I've taken part in 2 elections which I've won, and even I've taken part in a stolen election, and they won, but through as a proxy, because the guy on top of me planned everything. Let me tell you how elections are stolen. It's very crazy. It's like magic. Even if it's stolen in your favor sometime, unless you're the person who has organized it, you will not know. You will be surprised that you won. So the election is stolen. First of all, the election is stolen on site. Most of it is stolen on site. And even this argument that we are having about Baba and Uhuru and whatever, my argument is that you can make it close enough that it will be difficult for you to kuibiwa, or make it try so much, because the election is not stolen on the basis of strange votes or foreign votes. It's usually stolen on the voter register, because 100% of voters do not show up. Probably they go 40%. The thief only needs to steal 15% to make it look like. That's where I'm coming, so that it looks like 55% voted, but in the real sense only 40 showed up, or 30%.
You see, listen, comment. Let me just before you continue, let me tell you what you are saying now. What you're saying is true of an already stolen election. So what you are doing at that part now, you are trying to prop it up. Elections are not stolen on that day. Ruto did not steal this thing on that day. You remember what Makiadi is saying here, that this guy, what's his name, Chebukati, was going and saying that, you guys, how much are you going to give? This is what is called power management. Power management is Uhuru has all the money. You see, if Uhuru had all the money as a government and he needed that thing, even if Chebukati wanted 2 billion, you give him. Have this thing, this guy announced. Then you manage the rest.
You are right. You're right. At the same time, you're wrong. You're right in the sense that it is stolen before. The money exchanges hands before. But you cannot steal an election without the polling officer on the stealing side. That will never happen.
But that was Mugambi. Remember, Chebukati came with a full scope. It didn't matter what the polling stations had given. Yes.
Look, what I mean, Stone PK, for example, you in your ward, you are elected as an MCA, right?
Yes.
That is very basic. So probably you know how everyone voted. Even when it goes to the national tally, you will still see it there. Unless you conspire to steal this thing with a polling clerk in those stations, your election, your votes will go there intact. But the conspiracy is that you need to bribe the money. The money involved, first of all, is colossal. So if you're going to bribe everyone, you have to start with the chairman. Everyone has to be in play. And that is and now the other problem with Kenyan elections, it's a very emotional topic, because in a better society, people who ate that money will be coming out and saying the truth. But now in Kenya, you cannot come out to say the truth. First, people will handle you.
Let me. I have a question. I have a question for you, Koome.
Makiat, can I say something real quick?
Just a question. It's brief, and then Roba, you can take over. So let me ask you, Koome, you're talking about paying a colossal amount to many people. Let me ask you, in the 2022 election, there was one person who was the chairman of IBC. He came out with figures and then announced his figures. There was no backup to whatever numbers he was giving. 4 commissioners denounced the figures that the chairman announced. They said they are not party to that because they do not know how he came up with those figures. Now, the Supreme Court had an opportunity to talk about this, to give a way forward. The Supreme Court said the Parliament of Republic of Kenya will follow up on a legislation on if the chairman has the authority to announce election results without the commissioners. And we are stuck there because as we stand right now, as we are speaking right now, the next commissioner of IBC, unless there's a legislation about this, the next commissioner of IBC can do the same thing Chebukati did and come out with the election results from his koti, atangaze na aseme undio, and we will take him nowhere. Simply because there is no legislation about this. So, regardless of whether Chebukati was bribed with a group of individuals in his backyard or something, that is irrelevant. As long as he comes out as a commissioner and says, these are the results, hakuna mahali mtampeleka. That one you should know clearly.
Here's my point.
So, even if you have agents, and sijui hii watu wanasimamianga polling station wanaitwa nani Nthemba, these people down there, whatever, sijui Clark, sijui wa IBC, those people, those people do not matter in a presidential election. For an MCA, it's okay, because for MCAs, if an MCA needs to be elected by 1,200 people, then I can follow up. I can look at the, the people who voted in that whatever particular polling station and say up Menicheza. But for a presidential election whereby you vote and then somebody carries that paper and apeleka huko Bomas of Kenya, we are going to have the same problem, because this thing tuliona kina Madam Speaker huyu anaitwa nani, this anaitwa nani huyu mama anaongeanga mbaya kila wakati kwa TV.
She what?
Shalai. We tuliona Sholei wakishikwa nje ya Bomas of Kenya na bags
with a
laptops, bags. They have Kim's kit in IBC and nobody asked them. So we are in trouble.
Yeah, Makiat, I mean, before even you just that, this election, things wanted to go everywhere. When the so-called kichwa ngumu, kichwa whatever, Chebukati declared that Kakamega and Mombasa election, that's where they started stealing election. And yet Uhuru never did anything. Unaona, hapo ndio walijua these things are not going to work. But let me come the main point here. And I want you guys to get it very, very clearly. So, during our Constitution, 2010 Constitution, we came up with the so-called DCI and ASC, whatever you call them, I want to, if possible, because right now, in fact, kama Ruto aende, we get them out of there, hata hiyo manyumba tuchome sote. There's no need to have that kind of people in our system. The reason being, what's their job? What's their job? Sasa tumeambiwa there were some fake stations, yeah? Tumeambiwa leo waliba kula. Sasa wao ni kazi yao. Kama Makiat, you are here. Kama hiyo ingekuwa paka sahi Trump uliona what Trump did, until Trump now is paying for it. What about our country where we have TCI, AAC, whatever, AAC or ESC, whatever they call them, whatever? How? The institutions we have, the so-called institutions, they should be dismantled as soon as yesterday. When you wako huko wachomwe, or they get out, nyumba iende, kila kitu, we just start from scratch. Hii ni uchinga. It's very unfair when some of us is 207. This is 207. Unaamuka TV, unachukua ticket kutoka hapa, unaingia hapo, you are celebrating, ukifika kesho, your dreams are shuttered down. Kwa sababu mtu amejitangaza usiku. Some years later, same thing. Two tribes. I'm not saying the people there, all of them. I'm sick and tired of this. Let us say, as come 2027, there's no Kikuyu, there's no Karenjin, time off, time out, time out. Kwa Kikucha, kama Wakikucha chukua panga tuwakate. When anybody who's a Kikuyu or Karenjin who's running for president. Kwa sababu, wameharibu. Let's be sincere. Yeah, is this a country? Sahi, unajua jamaa alikuwa hapa. Unaona wakitembea barabara mbaya, hamna matope, hamna kitu. Ingia huko, ingia hapo western hapo mahali Mugambi, you can be my witness here. Na vile hii mfua iliharibu barabara. Yeah? Some places right now, some of us we have properties, you can't even take your own car there. Yeah? Wamekula pesa, ni kama wamechinja ng'ombe, wamekula paka mkia. There's nothing here. Hakuna kitu. Yeah? Huyu jamaa sasa amefanya, we know he's going to be there 2027. Lakini sahi we have to send a message. TCI na watu wengine pomoa hiyo, get them out. Get them out. Why are they there? Why are they? Yeah? All these cases, remember all these corruption cases, have they ever even investigated? How many umeona aje watu wengine, people even die. Unaona? Like now, if so-called MP hata akipiga risasi akinosoro, you see, he injured people. Where I come from. What has he been done? Has he ever been even arrested? When people are being shot at even there, video camera. Hii ni nchi gani hii? And we are calling it democracy. Democracy nini hiyo? I was about to say a very bad word. Democracy gani? With two democracies. Democracy is when what kama vile mtu mwingine anasema watu wengine ambao hawana hata choo. Hao America wachwe hii nchi ambayo iko the way it is built there, ukiangalia even public schools. Even go to Matara area. What is president? Our people are suffering. And sasa ameenda hapa anaweka suti, is holding that woman was so-called hao ndio waombaji so their menu. Oh, wanataka they are Christians, wanataka nyimbo ya Kristo, wanakula hii, na kila kitu enjoy. I wish one of these days hata hiyo chakula wanyonge. I'm tired of this. This is ridiculous. Our country was headed in the right way. Lakini sasa there are some two tribes. Lakini not everybody. When you wamefikiria hiyo wakasema, you know what? Sisi. They are just exchanging. Sasa they are fighting one another. They are fighting. Kama uliona Gacheta is saying it's being fought from na Wakarenjin. Yeah? They are Chesa. Sasa Wakarenjin ndio wameanza kujua timu nyingine they are preparing for 2032. What about sasa mimi Mukisi? When I'm going to Mukisi become president, they don't care about that. Then from there ndio wanatuambia hii election ni ilikuwa na ukabila, ilikuwa nini, and yet you had fake stations in Karenjin land. You had fake stations. That's how you won. Shame on you. See hata kuve kesho. I don't care about him. Thank you guys.
Yeah. So I think I think we don't have a solution. I think we're in a bad place.
Yes, go back to there. That is, remember before he left Mugambi and Richina Roba, when I did my submission, Themba was now asking me. So then he said, Mugambi Bujibu, just go back there now.
I think we're in a bad way. I think we need to look for alternative solutions, because the solutions at hand, they will not help us. Maybe it will not come near, maybe even it will come with our children, because the system is rigged, people. The system is rigged.
Mugambi, IBC officers, what our toy huko. They are just taking our money, wanatumia a lot of money, fake things, wanakuja hapa, they are benefiting. Wacha tuseme hakuna election, hakuna kitu, nothing. It's fake.
But the other thing I would also want to say, hope is not lost. Ruto might be a first-time president by the way. People might be surprised, but it might be true. Because, even for you to steal, you have to have a critical bragging mass that in young, and whether by it's true or false, people will believe. So I think this time he might lose a very big constituency. First of all, he runs the obvious risk of voter apathy. People will not go to vote for him. Then there are those people who will vote against him. So I think even if it is about stealing, for him to steal this time, it will be very difficult.
Mugambi.
Because whatever we have been discussing this evening, if majority of Kenyans knew these truths, I'm telling you, the problem with Kenya is that information does not circulate. If people realize, especially like the issue with these monies that have been given, that the number one allocation by Americans is civil society in the creation of independent civil society, 173 billion. Then the next amount that has been given is 4.4 billion for malaria, meaning there's 170 billion more money for NGOs than for malaria. So if people get to know this thing, because information is power, and it spreads, you will be surprised that people actually care. The problem is that people do not have this data, and people are ready to talk about it, because before Themba kabla ende alisema, especially mavijana hawataki kuonekana wanafanya siasa. Kuna some, it's cool not to be involved in politics. Here in Nairobi, ukiongea siasa, unaambiwa unaongea sana. And you know, this is something that has been passed down by these old people who do not want young people to talk politics. Unaambiwa, yani they look at you differently. So people shun away from politics, and hao ndio wanaumia. They are the people who are buying up petrol, what they are buying, and you're buying knowing that over 70% of that, over 80% of what you're paying is tax. It's not even for the fuel, and that tax is not giving you services. So I think we need to continue to keep talking and encouraging other people to talk. Yeah. I also want to thank you guys for having me. I will leave because I need to go to church.
Okay, so sawa. Safi Kome, tuombe sana. But I also want to chime in and talk about two things. Number one, there was something I call a fallacy that has been thrown around for a long time. And this fallacy is about something called tyranny of numbers. I think we people who have followed the Kenyan politics for the past 10 years, since that coined phrase tyranny of numbers was introduced, we have come to realize that there's nothing like tyranny of numbers.
It was a fake of tyranny of numbers.
That thing, look at the census that happened the last time. Look at the people that were registered to vote. Look at even the people that were issued with the voters' registration cards. To an extent that we have underage people who are just issued anyhowly, with the voters' registration card so that they can participate in an election. So that was a fallacy. And I think that fallacy of tyranny of numbers has made other people feel like they cannot contribute to the national cake simply because they do not have the numbers. But
it's psychological.
That is a psychological game. Thank you, Roba. Now it is more than clear that somebody can be elected president without necessarily coming from the so-called big communities.
Thank you. They never won since 2007.
And the reason why I want to say this is because when I look at the numbers of the people who voted, and Kome, you said this very clearly. I just want to challenge you here. When the numbers came out in 2022 from the so-called stronghold regions of Kenya Kwanza, look at the number of votes that came, especially, I'll say this, especially from mountain region. Look at the numbers. Until at some point, we had the IEBC coming out and saying, we have a turnout of about 40-something%. No, actually, it was less than that on the election day. And then after everything went quiet, and this comes to what you are saying, Kome, then the numbers were propped up, So we have voter turnout that turns all of a sudden in 2 hours from less than 20-something% to over 60%. So you ask yourself, where did these people come from? How do 1 million people vote in a polling station within an hour? You know, the math doesn't add up. So this thing that has been made to dominate the Kenyan politics, that if you come from this tribe, you only need to align yourself to get a deputy president from this tribe, and then you'll be elected president. Or if you come from this tribe, you only need to quote this tribe so that you become a leader. There's nothing like that in our country. Number two, you guys are asking what is the solution, Stone PK. You're asking what is the solution here. Let me tell you guys. Uhuru Kenyatta was handheld, alishikwa mkono namna hii na Moi 2002. Na sisi wote I know sisi wote tumekaa kwa enzi ya Moi, we can tell. If at all the system could have made Uhuru Kenyatta president during the 2002 election, then ingeweza kumfanyia hivyo. Unfortunately, the people showed up, and Kome, I agree with you. The people that came out in 2002 to vote, they were determined to make a change. So they came out overwhelmingly to such an extent that even the state itself could not overcome those numbers. The margin was so huge. Exactly. The margin was so huge that the state came out and nikashindwa kuongezea hizo kura za Uhuru Kenyatta zifike hapo. We are also going to a situation in 2027, and you know, William Ruto can do whatever he wants with the IEBC. He can do whatever he wants with the police, with the military and everything. But I can tell you for real, the people who supported William Ruto, even in 2022, a large majority of these people have deserted him. There's a certain minority that feels like we will not be voting because there's nothing to vote for. This person, you can walk around the streets in Nairobi and everywhere. Look at the people who call themselves, identify themselves with the hustler movement. Most of them have said, we do not recognize this guy as the person who we voted for. So William Ruto is in danger of falling to that situation whereby the people who want to vote for him, the people who align with him, will not have the enthusiasm to go out and vote. The people who are against William Ruto, and these are the people that amebomolea manyumba, the people who feel their biasharas have been overtaxed, the middle class that have lost jobs, you know, all these people. I believe these are the people who will come out to take William Ruto home. And
the ones who know the truth.
Exactly. These are the people who will come out to take William Ruto home. And I can promise you here, you know, these people can do whatever they want with their they can play around with the electoral commission and everything the way they want. But the numbers of people, the sheer numbers of people who will vote against this regime, it is not an open secret anymore, because William Ruto himself says, I was not elected to be re-elected. He knows the people have decided him.
Marquette, I think that one of the things I think where we failed, I think somebody could have caught with Chebukati, just get his head and send a message to anybody who's IBC chairman. You do this, you be gone. Because this is killing dreams, man. This is not good. Yeah? When you do what they did, and now when the evidence comes out that this election was not one the way things went to, tunatanganywa. Sasa mtu anatuambia ya kwamba at so and so he won election because of at Mungu. Lakini na huyu Mungu jamani, kama angefungua hii ni maajabu bwana. Hii ni maajabu. Yeah? So these guys have been pretending that they won the election. Now wanakuja wanatuambia they never won, so that we accept them now. Hell no. I wish there's a movement which can be born from this. A movement of saying fairness. Where's the fairness? After all these years, Uhuru alikuja and told us he never won the election. Ruto akakuja akatuambia, you know what? I went there, I had to force him. Nikamwambia he was so drunk. Nikamwambia we can't have this one here. Because Uhuru already alikuwa amesema tumeshindwa wacha tuende wapi? Twende nyumbani. But he came, whatever happened. Sasa 2022, when there was hope from many Kenyans, things I want to change. Unajua nini? Huyu jamaa amekuja wameiba kura. Okay? Can I blame Uhuru Kenyatta? Yes, I do. Was he in charge of everything or no? But here's the thing. What's the way forward? The way forward for me is this. We cannot have this kind of nonsense to go in a country where we are being called a democracy. Time has come. Time has come. More especially this time when they want to choose the new so-called officials. They have to tell us what they want to take us again since 2007. Since 2007, some of us, until now, we are growing old. Yeah? When we thought that there's some people we hoped to become a president. We were the majority. But because of money, because of the so-called psychological thing, lies, and now the same people, the Wako, South Korea, I don't know, whatever it is, I mean China, not excuse me, China, and now they have been getting money at Wakuja to build school of leadership. Pesa ambao wanakuja kutumia campaign from China. You know, we cannot accept this nonsense to go on. We cannot. If that's the case, and more especially the United States of America, the so-called now they are seeing at Kenya as a democracy, then let us be a democracy, but not a fake democracy, the way it is at this moment. I mean, it's really, really bad. Our people are suffering, and you know the worst about it? The institution, the so-called institutions. Tell me, what have the things they have said? You know what? Since Ruto came in, even during Uhuru Kenyatta, we have seen scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. Nothing happens. Yeah? Ruto was a crook. Ruto stole. Ruto still stealing. The so-called Gacheta, the same thing. And their cases were still in court before they won. After they won, the cases were dropped. Why? And nobody has ever even told us. How many people? He's a Chuma who killed others. Instead of them to get answerable, instead they were set free. Is that a so-called institution? Is that an institution? Time has come, we have to say what the problem is. We have to clean the house. The house has to be cleaned if we really want a democracy.
So, Roba, with all this, my question still stands. What next? What should we do? Because all what we have said, elections, no. Kimani Ngojiri, I had played a clip earlier. Kimani Ngojiri, with his anger of lamentations and all that, for him, he was offering a solution. Yes.
There's a message that what when attack a link, so people want to come in, so it looks like they want to.
Yeah, link sahi ndani anaweza. I think Julia, you know, I'm operating from my phone, not my computer, because I changed the stations. Julia, if you can hear me, please patia watu links or Kenyan with the lab, man. There's a link. We still have time. Yeah, so, ama waende hapo juu kwa comment huko juu wataipata. If you go down, you know, you scroll up or down, you'll find it. So I'm just saying that we cannot say there is no way out. Ngujiri came out very quickly. I wish I had ningekuwa studio vizuri, ningecheza hiyo clip. Ngujiri alioffer solution. Alisema with all what is going, there are two ways. One is to disband the government.
Yes,
okay?
He said that.
Yeah, either we disband, because he has admitted hii serikali hatukushinda, tulipewa na Mungu. He was just saying tuliiba.
Oh, they were even not by Mungu. Mungu akawapatia hii.
Wait, Roba.
No.
Wait, Roba. Roba, you know.
What?
Roba. Roba, you know Kenya ni more saved than anybody else in the world. Tunajua Mungu kuliko watu wengine wote.
Tunaomba hata mvua inakuja immediately.
Tunaomba maji inageuka, maji chafu inageuka. So we know God more than anybody else. So this serikali they were given by God. Okay? But then luckily whatever God gives takes, but he refused to say that God atachukua kwa sababu ni alipeana. So alisema tulipewa na Mungu na tulilia. He even said tulilia. We met, alitoboa siri yote in that clip. I wish I could replay it. Ametoboa siri yote, what they did. with Murkomen, with those other guys. So anajua hiyo siri. And you see, he's an old man. Sometimes in our African culture, when as an old man you go lie, it comes and chokes you, because as an older person, you're supposed to be wise, you're supposed to be truthful, and even old people are not supposed to mislead people. They are not supposed to be corrupt in our African culture. Kabisa, they are supposed to be above kila kitu. But unfortunately, because the world the way it is, that's why you are seeing the confusion. Kimani ameconfess, akasema sasa haraka haraka tuvunje hii serikali, watu warudi kwa kiwanja. Now that is where now we can say serikali ivunjwe hivi na tutoe fujo, to dismantle, not to bring Raila. Raila is finished in terms of political ya Kenya na nini, amefika mwisho yeye alifika king. Yeah, in fact that's why we are saying the next way forward, because Ruto cannot, hawezi kuvunja serikali, ni tuivunje sisi wenyewe. For me, I'm giving you a way forward. Mwananchi should break this government. Mwananchi tutafute namna ile yoyote ile. Let's not start saying the way people are talking, Kenya is civil, Kenya is, then you civil, remain civil and continue being evil. Because why you are civil, that's why you are being mistreated. That's why you are being treated like you know nothing. Okay, that's why you have somebody lying to us like kids. But we have to grow a solution. And when we talk about West Africa and all these kind of things, people are saying, no. You see, we are not able to do that. I'm not saying the army. For me, the army nilimalizana now 19 ya mwisho ile ilikuwa inaweza jaribu ni siku za Ochuka. Period. The rest of these have a handful of relatives in the army. I challenge them everywhere. Wanawaambia nyinyi ni malenge tu. They are nothing. Ni uniform tu. In fact, hata hakuna mtu wa army akija karibu na wewe unaweza shtuka kama zamani. These guys, even in mtaani, nobody cares about them. That's why even the other day they were being arrested by police. Army being arrested by police anakalishwa kwa Land Rover. Sini? I mean, that is an example of telling you these guys are useless. Tangu lini polisi akashika mtu wa army anamkalisha chini kama maabusu kwa Land Rover?
Kwa sheria, don't be case. Kwa sheria, the police are in charge of law enforcement.
No, you don't do that. Roba, never. Not in any country. Sheria hizo zako Roba.
That's how it
goes. It doesn't. Where? Even in the country you are in? Where you are?
What are you talking about here? So there are a lot of cases I know personally.
Oh yeah, but you don't. No, Roba. You don't humiliate an army officer, unamkaisha chini, unamfunga manyororo. It's not possible.
You know what? In a case, somebody has a violation.
Anyway, in Kenya, in Kenya,
fake things.
Let me tell you, Roba, wewe ni Muamerika. In kwetu Kenya,
I'm not America. Mimi natoka South Mogran Kisii bana.
Bana wewe ni Muamerika.
Hapana.
Kenya hakuna mwanajeshi anaweza kukaishwa chini na polisi. Never. Afrika, hapana. It's not possible. Hata mimi nikiwa jeshi ukuje polisi nitakutandika ile ajabu. Na niliona wakitandikwa mtaani. I was born and bred in Maringo. Unaguza, wanakunywa pombe vile wanataka, polisi akijaribu hapo, Land Rover inafika hapo, hiyo mtaani mnatandikwa ile and that is how to deal with Africans. Okay? So jeshi ikianza sheria hizi unasema bwana Roba, that's why we are where we are. Jeshi inafuata sheria. Ogola amekufa kama kondoo. I mean, a whole commander-in-chief.
So yes. That's what I was asking you, the so-called institutions.
Which institution?
No, that's what I'm telling you. That's
they are bad.
They're so-called. That's what I used to say. What they're so-called. That's what they keep on lying to us. They are taking a lot of money. That's why I just say this is a waste of money, waste of resources. I wish our people just wake up one day, dismantle those offices, get them out, set them on fire. If you can, get IBC, get out of there. Because you know why? These people are just lying to us, the so-called democracy.
So we are saying then there should be an uprising, but how do we start an uprising? And it's not an uprising kuamuka kwenda na kurudi nyumbani. And it's not maandamano. Maandamano is also finished in Kenya. Kenya, hiyo chapter ya maandamano gone. Chapter ya maandamano gone.
Maybe
solution.
Opio, whatever you call them, ndio watatupatia maandamano hawa.
Ndio nasema hakuna maandamano tena. Sasa ni jamaa mmoja ajitokeze kama Stone PK. Kama hiyo ndege ingengojewa. Hata kama ni kwa sababu ni Abu Dhabi yangukaji.
Umesikia yeye alienda huko,
ilikuwa nasema unauliza what is the way forward, and I think there is a formula, but I think before we begin or start discussing anything or dreaming about anything, the most important thing is political awareness. Now, political awareness is I would like to encourage young people like us. If you have time and you're in Kenya, you see when these politicians are trying to do something, don't say that hiyo ni mambo yao. Go there and try and hear what is happening. If they want to carry out a grassroots election, even if the system is rigged, go and pay that 1,000, and because we also run the risk of changing the system with very inexperienced people, very unreliable people who cannot manage that system. So I believe that as the first point of contact, people have to increase their level of political awareness. You have to go there and you see how these people, they run their ukora. Very many people should know, because right now this information is held by a very few people. So try watu wakwe wajuaji, because if we have this attitude ya kusema that it's not cool to do politics or to know politics, the politicians are the ones who benefit from everything. They share our taxes on our behalf. So I think
it's a problem. What about the people who don't have money to do this?
No. I'm not even saying even if you don't even have to stand. I'm just saying you have to get close, try to know, open area. Sometimes you might find even you go like me. The first time I stood, I did not pay for my registration. Somebody paid for it, and in the process I learned so many things. That's what I'm saying. If you have time, because sometimes you might not have time. Time is everything. Actually, the only thing that is needed for these things is time. Karibia tu hapo usikie nini naongelewa, and you will learn so much. And because now these guys, they are like someone here was telling us about Themba was telling us about Abab. That guy has created a system, an airtight system, such that even if he goes, he has some vifaranga who will come after him to continue his work. And you see now, those are now our age mates who now we think we stand a chance against. But this is somebody who is very, very polished and crafty in that business. He's very experienced. So I think good people must also want to earn this experience and to know what is happening, because we run the risk of keeping talking and these things to repeat themselves forever. So first of all,
here's the problem. Is that the problem, Mugambi? Sometimes when you want to do something, you want a benefit where somebody can come in and something. But if you see our country, the problem is it's just everything's corrupt. Yeah, corrupt. Even those people, they have stolen money, but nobody's just even following. Where did you get all this money? Hey, angalia mambo ilikuwa ya mafuta hapa juzi. Mafuta ambayo tuliona tu juzi hivi. Ikiletwa, ikiwekwa, people being caught. At mama mwingine amekuwa sio iko wapi, amewekwa nini na nini, sio na yeye alikuwa. Then from there umeisikia at investigation. Did you hear anything up this point? Hakuna mtu, people, it's just, this is a banana republic at its best. And we cannot continue at the same way. Now, that's what is discouraging even more young people. Kwa sababu, sasa, yeah.
But there's no room for being discouraged, because this thing will go to the dogs forever. Lisemwalo lipo. This thing is bad. People think that it is a element of speech. It's figurative speaking. Things are bad. We actually, it's a very thin line. We fall on the other side.
Yeah, let me say this. You see, as a nation, what we are facing, the tragedy we are facing as a nation is we have allowed the government of William Ruto to control the narrative. And that is the biggest problem that any country in the world will ever face. If you allow the government to control the narrative of the day, then you're in trouble, because it will dictate what you think. It will dictate what is to be said. It will dictate where the focus is. Now, everybody right now is talking about William Ruto's trip to the US. You know, back at home, what was happening? The money that people contributed, and I think this story has just died. Nobody's even talking about this. The money that people contributed towards the housing fund. I don't know if you guys follow what is happening about this contribution. Now, the state, William Ruto's government, took the money that was deducted from Wananchi to construct the so-called affordable houses, and it invested billions of shillings of this levy in treasury bonds. So they found some money somewhere that nobody's using, and because everybody's focused elsewhere, talking about his trip visit to the US and all that stuff, they took this money. Somebody took this money, Stone PK. It is about the government and I'm reading from from the Business Daily. It says the government is investing 20 billion shillings collected from the affordable housing levy in treasury bills and bonds, signaling a low absorption rate for the funds meant to build cheaper homes for low and middle income houses. So as we are complaining here about other things, about democracy, about we did not get this, somebody else has already taken the money. And Robert, nobody will tell you how much they received by investing in these treasury bonds. And that is how these people, every day, you see the lifestyle that these politicians are living right now, the kind of wealth that they are making right now, the investments they are making out of the country. You're asking yourself, where do these people get this money? It is because they have perfected the art of stealing using government resources. Even the person that has been charged, that has been mandated to take care of the wealth of Kenyans is stealing using this wealth. So if you go invest this money, and then when the money is needed, you bring it back, who benefits? Because si mwananchi wa kawaida, I'm very sure from this, from the income that will be generated from this investment in the treasury bonds, not the government, not the normal mwananchi will benefit from this. So we have a problem. We have left William Ruto's government, an opportunity to dictate how we think, what we talk about, how we look at things. And this is what has been going on for a long time when the narrative of hustler versus dynasty began.
Not only that. So this guy you called Kimani, what's his last name? Injure?
Gujiri, Kimani Gujiri.
Yes. You know what he said? He said some people like Michaelman, I'll tell Michaelman, I don't know what I'm pronouncing properly.
Murkomen.
Yeah, he's a conman.
I'm a Makomen.
He's called conman. He's called conman. That's it. By the way, that's the guy who was thrown out of the plane. I mean, he was supposed to come to the US. They said they can't allow him to come. And some other people. He said it very clearly. They just came in, they have grabbed all this money. Now they have started fighting one another. And yet, we don't have nobody investigating. We don't have nobody to find out why this was happening. Ati unapata wanaweka kesi kesho kutoka hapo usikii mahali imeenda. This nonsense has to stop. Where's the transparent and accountability from this government? How many people right now? How many people? And that's something you said, Makiati. It's something you said very, very clearly. And I really give it to you. This idea of when William Ruto came in, amesema all institutions right now. Hata ukienda koti, he gets what he wants. Police, this is more time. This is the old constitution. He started and now he has controlled everything. and nobody is just holding him accountable. The so-called parliament, we have this useless parliamentarians you ever get out of in this world, in this planet, because they are corrupt. They cannot stand him. They just lie to you. At the end of the day, he gets what he wants. Yeah. So where are we going to go? Where are we going from here? If the so-called opposition cannot even themselves cannot even just keep an eye on this guy.
Can somebody drop the link? Can somebody drop the link? Sorry, Roba, for interrupting you. Stone PK. Hakuna mtu anaweza drop link hapa kwa nini bana? Kila mtu anadai link hapa.
Sasa unajua ubaya, sijui hata tukidrop wataingia aje. Because sasa mimi
Roba cannot admit, hauna admin rights.
Siko kwa admin saa hii. Niko na gadget ya simu sasa. Unfortunately.
Mkenya mkora alienda kulala. There are people here who want to join the debate, but unfortunately, I don't know.
Labda waambie Julia anaweza fanya hivyo.
Julia I think is 2 hours mbele yangu, so ni saa 9 kwake usiku. Haezi nini. Unless Mkenya mkora is in the same time zone with me, lakini I don't know. Mkenya mkora kama unatusikia bana.
Mkenya mkora, hebu mpigie simu hapo.
Acha nimtafute.
Ukimtafuta sasa Roba na Richi na nani Guru anaonekana pia yeye ameenda kanisani. I feel very bad when watu wakisema hatuna namna. Na watu wakisema
namna iko. Namna ni ile, my friend. Let's go for the bad people from Chebukati. Sasa, what else? I wish our people would go there and just say, you know what? Wherever we did this one here, you cannot get away. And it will never happen again.
Then the other question inauliza, hii maneno tunasema watu wanaumia. In the last show before yesterday, niliuliza hiyo swali. Nikasema, labda wala watu tunasema sisi ndio tunasema watu wanaumia kwa TV show. Okay, I've been away from home for a while kidogo. But is the problem as big as we are talking? Why I'm asking this is, kama wananchi kweli wamefinyiliwa, ni kilio wanalia, mbona it's not being shown? Ama press imezimwa? Why am I, when I call my people nauliza in the estates and all over, kuuliza ama watu wanalia kilio, watu wananiambia watu wanaonekana tu wanaendelea. Of course ukikutana na mtu umuulize ndiye anakuambia ni kubaya. But why is it that people are not, because the way it's supposed to be by now, watu wanatakiwa wawe very agitated. People are supposed to be who and cries. Because that way, why I'm asking that is what builds up into a revolution, a resistance from a people. Now, what I saw in Mount Kenya, Limuru 3, to me, I was thinking that would at least build up into something. But unfortunately, one thing I didn't like about it, despite nikipenda ile ingine yote almost 90%, I still found people trying to be soft to those others who misled them. Wanasema lakini mkiongea pia mjue kuna wao wengine wako nje bado ni mandugu zetu pia, na muwatafute ndio wakuje tuende tukiwa pamoja. Is that the talk of a revolutionist? Even the
same person akasema the next election sisi the Wakikuyu lazima tuweke candidate.
I imagine. Yes.
I'm just like, really?
So
Limuru was supposed to acquire Kenya. That's what I thought. But it just turned. Even some of us, we had to wait until Muta tuambie wanasema nini, because there was hope. There was this hope. There was this at Limuru 3 walikosea. Kama hii Limuru 3 wangeweka iende somewhere, walisema taenda maybe waweke Kisumu 1, waweke Kakamega 1, watu wakuja hapa ikianza kama, lakini sasa mkikuja hapa mnatuambia some of the things about what would be obvious. Kusema kweli, I don't mind. Okay, I don't want to be like I'm a tribalist or whatever. But imefikia jamani, imefikia Stone PK, mali nasema, maybe the solution lies that we need somebody else from another tribe to come and clean up this house. Maybe that's what we need.
Yeah,
Not,
so
I mean,
yeah, so
we are trying now. We are trying because
yes.
it's just like, it's what else? What else can we do? Huh?
So Roba and Richie and Guru, me have been an advocate of we now, because everything has failed to remove Ruto. We retreat to our own, I want to call it, be candid, tribal, regional. Let's go back. Let Kisis go back. Let Luos go back. Let the Luyas go back. Let the Mberes and the Embus go back. The Kambas go back. The Coast people go back. And we sit and rethink. Yes, I don't benefit anything by being unified with anybody else. Sioni faida. I mean, I don't. There's no faida.
That's
Yes.
why I get surprised when people like the MP people and the Meru and stuff. This is the part of Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya gani?
Yeah.
Mount Kenya gani? Yeah?
So I think we should retreat. Kila watu wa retreat, and then Roba, if you need me, you'll tell us, we meet and talk. Then we talk sense. Roba, unataka president, ndio mimi utanisupport na hii na mimi nitakusupport na. We go into partnerships, you know, and if not, then we develop our own regions independently. This nonsense called Kenya is not working.
Exactly.
But, not working.
Yes, but I also think it's not the problem we have is not about tribal as such, Stone PK, because more of we should just agree that the new constitution does not work for us. The so-called new constitution does not work for us because we came up with a constitution that people call progressive, that sets standards whereby for you, Robert, to be elected president, you must win about this number of votes in, like, let's say 25 counties, right? And then you must also garner 50+1 of the majority vote. Now,
Makiati,
people,
the problem is what you are saying has not happened.
Exactly. Now, what people did, Stone PK, they came up with a way to circumvent this. Now,
exactly.
For let's go to the previous election, the 2022 election. Guru, umefanya mzuri kuamka bana. Tumekupigia kelele mpaka ukaamka. Good to see you. Now, the 2022 election, sisi tulikuwa tunaona uchaguzi inahesabiwa vizuri, kura zinahesabiwa, and then at some point kura zikawacha kuhesabiwa. Then we see one candidate whose votes are stagnant at one place. Graph yake imeenda flat namna hiyo, gradient ya zero. Sijui kama gradient ya zero ndio flat. And then this other guy, votes zake zina increase until a point whereby ana tilt 50+1. Peke yake, because we said what you need is just a 50+1. Yeah, it looks like people have invented a way to circumvent the framework zenye tuliweka to hold this whatever in check. And when this happens, it is supported by the so-called tribal alignments, whereby, Roba, if you are a deputy and I'm the presidential candidate, all I need to do is steal from your area and steal from my area, and then all other areas that add up to the national tally is just get like 2 extra votes in every polling station. You know, inaitangwa polling station ama nini, unapata tu kura mbili peke yake. That's enough for you to tilt that vote. Na hiyo ndio kitu tumekuwa nayo for the previous election hii imeisha ya 22 na ile ingine ya 2017, because at some point somebody comes up with fishy numbers, of which ukienda kutali hizo number hata uone the numbers that the MP was elected with, the numbers that the senator was elected, they don't add up. Simply because we have agreed that we only need to conglomerate it, to only attach ourselves to people who are from a big tribe. That's all we need for us to be elected president. So let us agree that this constitution is not working for us. This constitution yenye tuko nayo 2010, hizo measures tumeweka ya kusema national tallying vote 50+1 alafu 25 this thing is not for us. Stone PK, you remember that thing we called Pentagon? Unakumbuka ile kitu tulikuwa naita Pentagon? I think that should be the best form of government for Kenya. This thing here counties I work for us. Let us have what Raila had in 2007. Pentagon members. We have a representative from this community, Kisii community. We have a representative from Nyanza community. And then we come together and sit as equals. We say, Guru is going to be our leader. Stone PK, you are the deputy. Roba, you are going to be the treasurer. Full stop. Let's go to an election so that when we come to argue at the table, hatutakuwa tunasema sisi ndio shareholders, wale wengine wakae kwanza tukule mnofu, watatupiwa mfupa. That is where we will respect each other.
Yeah, I agree.
On top of that, Stone PK, you know why I have a
na ukaribisha Guru kabla internet yake hajapotea.
Guru, just come in before we speak.
Yeah, Guru. Guru, fungua mic.
Yes. How are you?
Fine, karibu.
I was listening from the background quite much. At least I've got it. I've heard quite much of what you say. It is true that what Kiendi is saying, that people have found a way of circumventing the 50+1 rule. I can tell you because I happened to talk some time back on to an insider of Kano during Moi's time, because that time, you know, although there was no 50+1, for Moi to win, he had to find a formula. The person told me he was from Embu. He told me when they visited Moi, he told them, I know you come from a very difficult area where most people have rejected me, but I just want 10,000 votes from the Embu. And if you get that, I'll give you this, I'll give you a cabinet position and the rest. So he told me what they did is that every member of Kanu was told to make sure he has delivered, I think, about 30 people to every station and facilitated to do so. And then from there, they also were able to plant their agents within the electoral process to make sure if the magic 30 number does not come, it is balanced. So it is true. You can imagine that votes times, I think now we are about, I don't know how many polling stations, over that 4,000. That 4,000 polling stations. Do the math. You see what that means. So it is true. It is true that systems are put in place to make sure a certain number is achieved, even before you go to the polling station. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, not unless systems change. Because when you listen to what Kimani Ngojiri said yesterday from Nakuru, he said hii serikali walipatiwa na Mungu. In fact, he never said that they won the elections. So I don't know whether the solution is to raise that to 60+1, which would be a bit more of hard to achieve in the first instance, especially not unless you are extremely popular leader or any other way to cushion that kind of, because when the two candidates are too close in terms of vote, especially for the one who is in government, it becomes completely impossible to beat off that candidate. The only way of defeating a sitting candidate is like what happened in 2002, where you fight for every 10 people, 7 are with the other candidate. But when it is hovering on 45%, 55, and the candidate who is in government is 45, you obviously turn the tables. So that is how the elections are won in Kenya. They are not won because of the political rallies that you see. Those are just, they are just a way of justifying. Like what happened in the last elections, these people would go to zones and really mobilize people with money, so that when the votes come in, you will not ask where did these votes come from. That's all what they want. The show off was for purposes of setting up a system of handing votes in some of these zones. So the electoral process has completely failed us. That's a fact, and it needs reform. I saw that some millions have been given by American government for reforms in the electoral system. I don't know what kind of reforms that those are, and I hope they are reforms that will enhance democracy and make it that whoever wins the vote is the one who is declared the winner. Otherwise, we shall just be going to do exercises that are meaningless to the common man, but they are meaningful to the political elite, the country, those who want to retain power, or mostly to retain power. When you see the manner in which Ruto is talking, he's even saying he was not elected to be popular. He was also saying that he was not elected so that he can be re-elected. But you know very well that a political leader is always looking out for an opportunity to win. So for him, perhaps he has got already another formula that is different from the one he used last time, to make sure that he will be 50+1. And he knows where the votes will come from. And he starts early enough to make sure that that happens. You've seen the aggressive, purported registration of UDA members in parts of Migori and other places, Kuria and those places. There seems to be a heightened activity of recruitment in those areas. That is not for nothing. So the truth of the matter is that the electoral process in Kenya is a fraud, and we've never gotten clear on who really wins the elections, except in 2002 general elections. So that is that's a position. I hope if we are going to talk around issue of electoral reforms, then a way must be found to make it completely impossible to manipulate figures. That's what I can say for now.
Thank you, Bananguru. Yeah, electoral reforms. Sasa, if elections ilifanywa vizuri, we held a press conference. Mama Mdozi akasema elections were perfect. Then hiyo kasoro wameitoa kwa narrative gani? Anyway, let me say we are in a very hard situation, very hard place. Very hard place in the sense that mwananchi has no voice now. And hatuna sauti, and the silence means what? I think the silence means tunyamaze tu, na tuache Ruto aendelee kufanya vile anafanya. That is, I think, what the silence means. Unless the silence means we are at the deepest point, na unajua river ikiwa mahali pale deep ni silent. Sasa tunangoja mtu azame, ajaribu kucross azame. That is the only thing I can say. Just maybe to keep some hope high, hoping that the silence now, which is everywhere, in Azimio, kwa kila mtu, Karua, hakuna mtu anaongea, then ikuwe sasa tutasikia tu mpurupuko purupup, na kitu itafanyika. Sasa tunaanza kufikiria kama Abunuasi. What do you think? Anybody can say something?
Yeah, I think we need another 2002 moment where people will go in the same direction for the second time, because, and also I think Kenyans are not tired enough. That is the problem. I think Bado, they can stretch more because they have not reached the elastic limit.
Yeah, that's why I was asking who are suffering. Where uko ground, kuna watu wanasuffer kweli?
Yes, they are suffering, but they have not reached that limit. You remember in 2002, people really hated Moi. They really
24
wanted
years.
him out.
It took them 24 years. 24 years.
No, they knew he was going. He had volunteered to go, mind you.
Mugambi.
Yes.
It depends on where you are talking about. You will be very surprised, even within Mount Kenya, there are people you still find holding on to that the cow that is dying, but they are saying some. You hear them saying, "Bado tungoje tuone mambo itakuwa mzuri." So that threshold is still
it has not been reached.
Not reached. But the indicators are very clear now that when you go to hospital, you have a problem. When you have a child going to the university, you have a problem of accessing funds. When you want government services in government offices, you have a problem. I don't know whether you are aware that we've gone back to where you have to use a kind of a go-between so that you get your documents very fast. That is what used to happen in the past, that it has come back. So these are some of the things, okay?
Mr. Guru. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that we need another 202 moment. But I also, I also believe, being on the ground, I see that people are not that they have not reached the breaking point, because Kenyans want to pretend to be patient. They are pretending and they are suffering. So I think a time is coming when they will no longer be able to pretend, and we will get that 2002 moment. I know it's coming.
Is that 207?
202. Sorry.
No, I'm talking about the moment you are saying. When is that? 207 or 2032?
No, you can't put a time on it, because there are many factors to be considered.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But here's the problem. There's a difference when somebody wins fairly, even if it means Ruto, then you just say, you know what, he won. But also there's a difference when you know this man, since he has been a deputy president, they never won. He became a president, he never won. Then Unana is kneeling down and Amba Mungu. I mean, it's discouraging. It's very discouraging. But for me, what I'm just taking from our discussion is this. Is this the way we want to build the so-called, this country we are proud of? Yeah? Unajua, there's a difference of a country where, like now, Mr. Sakaya anakuja anachukua taxes, then he gives you services. And a country where, like somebody was saying right now, somebody comes, he takes taxes, and they go on to use the money in personal use. Yeah? Kama yu mlisema yu maestimu na Gunchiri, I hope I'm pronouncing properly. Unajua, what he said was so important. He said there are some of these guys who came, and now wamenunua magari, they are wearing 1 million shoes, 1 million watch, when people are suffering. And that money, not because they have earned it, because they have stolen from people. And yet, nothing happens to them. Na Wakenya sisi tunawaangalia tu. Tunaona wakiona ndio wanakimbilia sasa. Tunaona we want to see them our leaders. When actually, a country like the United States, I give them credit for pulling himself, what's his name, Muguka, whatever his name is, out of coming to the U.S. because of his corruption or some other things. Job well done. But what about our country? We are at the market. People like him, they should not even be serving the government. Yeah, people like the so-called, I'm against this, the so-called the Minister of Health, the Secretary of Health. That really, I don't know her name. She's not even qualified for that job. Look at the man. Imagine watu wametuzia fake fertilizer. Yeah, fake. They have been caught red-handed. Wangapi wameenda kwa chera? How many? That's a banana republic. This one has to stop. Yeah, it's a banana republic, and I can't just take it anymore from them. Yeah, they do all these things, fake, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. People have come, like mtu akiba kuku ndiye anashikwa na nyongwa anafanya nini, lakini wenye wanaiva the real crooks, nothing. They are just there. Now our members of parliament, yeah, they are just stealing. Everybody wants to grab. Everybody's grabbing. Na sasa ndio even more worse. Na hii pesa ambayo wanachukua, nobody knows where they are collecting all this money, collecting from these taxes. How far are we going to go with this nonsense? Wengine as long as msaro umeingia, Ruto ni mzuri. Msaro umeingia. Yeah. But what we need are fair conditions, a fair field. It should be equal for anybody to win. If somebody beats me up, I say he beats me up. But that's not what's happening. Some people are having advantage because already have acquired the power through stealing. Whereas some of us, we didn't have that kind of opportunity to do that. And now this generation of Kenyans who are the so-called, we thought they want to change. And when I say, the worst people, when you understand about corruption, against corruption, they are the most corrupt people. Which country? In Sodoma and Gomorrah. Tumefikia it's Sodoma and Gomorrah. We have to find a way. Kama vile huyu Gujiri alisema, maybe this government is dissolved. Then from there, pengine kila mtu akatiwe kipande yake. Then we move on. Yeah? Time has come. Enough is enough. Nothing's going to change, my friends. Nothing's going to change. The only thing which is going to change is between who is the president and the vice president. Huyu ni Mkikuyu, huyu ni Mukalenjin. Mukalenjin ni Mkikuyu. Watuweke kwa katiba basi. I'm not against the people, but I'm against the system. I'm against the so-called cartels. I'm about determining that only people who can do this and this one because they are the largest, whatever, we come together and we win. And yet they have never won that election since 2007. And the numbers proves that. So this idea of us kwenda kupiga kura tuongojee 2027. 27 itafika. Then they will take the kuras from them 2032. Kila kitu ni psychological. Hii itaenda kutendeka. Maybe nothing. There's nothing going to happen here. Somebody has to face consequences. Hii mambo ya what were IBC. This is the worst people who have ever done. I wish all of them whoever who have served IBC. They don't even deserve to live in this planet. They have destroyed our lives. They have. Especially Chebukati. You know somebody who should not be alive right now because he has killed people. All these people who are killed during demonstrations, it was because of him. Sasa hiyo pesa ambayo amechukua sasa kwa wapi? Stone BK wanataka kufunga hii na nakana kila mtu amechoka. Let's get out of here. Stone BK, are you there? Stone BK. Stone BK.
Usingizi imeshindia.
Yeah, so we have to get out of here. We're embarrassing ourselves. So Let's get out of here. Stone Big has to wake up. Hey guys, for those who are watching, we are still alive, even though we have Stone PK and Bayana Sema, that's the control. I don't know who's going to cross the studio so that we can move on. Some of us, it's too late where we are. But Mr. Guru, like I said, I'm so mad, especially to the so-called our institutions, because these are the same people who are handing money, taxpayers' money, and they're doing nothing. They see things are going bad in the country. Why is this man who can stand and say the chief prosecutor and just say, even if you're president, you are not above the law. Even if it means a governor, you are not above the law. Members of parliament, you are not above the law. See, choose it. Somebody was shooting, some MPs were shooting. Osoro, and there's something happened in Rumuru, if I'm not wrong, it's somewhere in Rumuru, or they were shooting somewhere in somewhere just near Tika or somewhere. What has happened? Nothing. This is on us to stop. Yeah? This is getting out of hand. It's not the case. Hey guys. Let me try to get Bernard. I see where I can help. So, hey, Guru, you can go ahead. I'll just see whether I can be able to get Bernard.
What's happening to Stone? Stone.
Yeah. Stone is on. Oh, when I say morning, I don't know. I'm a rara, man. That's everybody in the whole world, they're watching Stone PK. You're an Arala. The whole world is
What's happening?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he just brought down.
Robert, even these differences you are hearing about right now, they have nothing else to do except the grappling that is going on. They are just disputing on issues to do with who is eating what.
It's
Don't be cheated by anything else. Yes, and it's not for public good. You hand Gikaria, the MP for Embakasi. Welcome back, Stone PK.
Welcome back.
Welcome
the
back.
whole world's watching you.
You went to Srabarad, eh? So I was saying you hand the MP for Embakasi. Is it Embakasi North? Complaining that people.
Mwenche or someone else?
No, Gekaria. It's called Gekaria. Complaining that one of the MPs from Rift Valley has been given a tender to collect garbage in Nairobi. So his argument was how
it's given to Sudi.
How can you come all the way from Rift Valley kuja kuwatoa nyama kwa mdomo? It's the same thing. It's like that is the line of argument. You know?
Iko shida.
Sasa wale walikuwa wanasema hawapangwingwi. Sasa ndio wanapangwa vizuri. Wanapangwa vizuri.
That's
so remember this time, I mean, it was like yesterday, 2000. It was like yesterday, people were warned. Ruto. Hey, Stone BK.
Yes.
Hey, can you be able to close the studio, but we have to get out of here. It looks like everybody's tired.
Now I'm not able to close this studio. I don't know. I have to call. How do we call this? Close the studio now. I think we will just have to.
Yeah, we're almost going to 4 hours now.
Yeah.
Another tomorrow.
Tuongee kesho. Acha. We have to leave that way, unfortunately. Let me try to look for Julia.
Yeah, so let's go.